Chapter 225, Black Snake 3. Whoosh. While I am briefly enjoying the wind above the sky, I feel something approaching from afar, accompanied by a tingling sensation. Why Ryongxian? Why Ryongxian, one of the integration stage grand cultivators of the human race, dispatched his avatars as administrators to all the sky islands located within the human race Grand Alliance. In this state, he has the administrators monitor all matters, big and small, happening on the sky islands. The entity currently flying towards me must also be one of Y Ryongxian's avatars, the Thunder Spirit Island Administrator. The energy emanating from Y Ryongxian's avatar is at the Heavenly Being stage. Perhaps someone continuously facing heavenly tribulation on the Sky Island, but not being able to be identified due to the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts, prompted him to come personally. Of course, even if he rushes here, there's nothing he can do if I decide to hide my tracks thoroughly. However, I suddenly feel my physical body twitching upon seeing the vigor of the entity flying towards me from a distance. Should I give it a go? Although the main body is at the integration stage, this avatar is just at the heavenly being stage. Suddenly, I am engulfed by the desire to confront Y Ryongxian's avatar. Combining the power of treading heavens and the Earth Tribe's nascent soul stage, I should be more than capable of confronting someone at the heavenly being stage. Wawoom. The talent of the immortal beast I had acquired in my previous life spews a misty fog, stimulating me. The power obtained from the formidable physical body of the demon race, along with the sharp energy emitted by the formless sword from treading heavens, surges throughout my body. The power of treading heavens hones my physical body to be as solid and sharp as a sword, while the power of the demon beast inherently enhances my physical power, thereby amplifying the efficiency of treading heaven's power several-fold. Adding the power of the newly acquired immortal beast and the colorless glass sword to the mix. Even without the cultivation of the Heaven Tribe, I should be able to. I feel confident enough to win against someone at the heavenly being stage. No. However, I suppress that desire. I'll wait for another opportunity. Y Ryongxian, the Grand Cultivator who monitors the major and minor matters within the human race Grand Alliance. He is known to be weaker among those at the early stage of integration because he had not specialized in combat methods. But no matter what, an integration stage is still an integration stage, and if I confront him and kill the avatar, the real Y Ryongxian will come here in person. Reluctantly postponing my encounter with Y Ryongxian, I swing my hand towards the void. Swish! My hand, imbued with the formless sword, cleaves through the void and creates a blind spot of heaven and earth spiritual energy. I enter within the blind spot of perception, spiritual energy, and space using the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts, disappearing from Y Ryongxian's sight like a phantom. Y Ryongxian, unable to find me upon arrival, forms a hand seal and begins to use a surveillance method that envelopes the entire sky island in an attempt to locate me. Bypassing the perplexed Y Ryongxian, I once again land at an appropriate place on Thunder Spirit Island. It's a small city meant for the cultivators on Thunder Spirit Island, and it seems lively inside, possibly because a market is being held. It's been a while since I've been to a human race market. While hidden with the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts, I enter the market. Such a bustling place, filled with countless intent and consciousness, is the perfect spot to hide using the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts. Y Ryongxian will probably focus more than usual to find me for a while, so I should stay hidden inside the market until the intensity of his surveillance spell weakens. Zing. I can feel Y Ryongxian's surveillance spell unfold even more powerfully than usual. Noticing something unusual, a few nascent soul stage cultivators and core formation stage cultivators within the market look up to the sky. Anyway, maintaining such a strong surveillance spell over the entire Thunder Spirit Island at the heavenly being stage won't last long. It will probably return to its normal surveillance intensity before long. I comfortably tour the market while also gathering materials needed for Hong Fan's awakening. In my last life, I definitely only roamed around with Hong Fan. I remember not having any other companions besides Hong Fan. Perhaps, awakening Hong Fan and elevating his cultivation might bring back memories of my past life. As I am searching for materials for Hong Fan's spiritual awakening, it happens. This is a demon beast method brought in by the mystical scaled fish commanding sect this time. Take a look before you go. Hearing about a demon beast method, my interest is piqued, and I turn to look in that direction. The mystical scaled fish commanding sect has connections with High-End EUM, so it would be easier for them to source demon beast methods and such from the Earth Tribe territory. The seller of the demon beast method appears to be at the Chi building stage, roughly a middle-aged man. In front of him lays several items that look like the shed snakeskin. Not just me, but several other Chi building stage cultivators In early core formation stage, cultivators approached the man upon hearing about the demon beast method. Where's the method manual? These shedskin are the demon beast methods. Unlike us from the Heaven tribe who record techniques in books or jade slips, demon beasts inscribe their methods onto their bodies. Well, I've heard that the mystical scaled fish commanding sect occasionally sources demon beast methods from the Earth tribe. A man with a goat beard sends a dubious look towards the merchant selling demon beast methods. How on earth are you selling demon beast methods obtained from the mystical scaled fish commanding sect? I was under the impression that the mystical scaled fish commanding sect only sells these methods to high-level cultivators. Haha, it seems you've been staying on Thunder Spirit Island for too long and are unaware of the circumstances of the mystical scaled fish commanding sect. At the chi building stage cultivator's words, the man with the goat beard looks at him with an expression that says, then explain it properly. The demon beast methods that the mystical scaled fish commanding sect occasionally brings over from the Earth tribe aren't carefully selected by the sect itself. Instead, merchants from the demon race gather numerous demon beast methods and then sell them off to the mystical scaled fish commanding sect in bulk. Having a rough understanding of how demon merchants handle demon beast methods, not along. To those merchants, demon beast methods are just one of the many resources they have in abundance. It's considered ideal for them to gather everything they can and sell it off to make a profit, especially when someone from the Heaven tribe is willing to buy. And among those gathered demon beast methods, the mystical scaled fish commanding sect disposes of any that are too difficult for the human race to learn, too low level, or unstable. They only select the usable ones to sell to high-level cultivators. So, the methods you're selling are discarded methods? No, listen to the end. After the mystical scaled fish commanding sect selects the usable demon beast methods, there's always a category that needs to be dealt with. The man continues. Firstly, dragon race methods. Since the mystical scaled fish commanding sect is connected to the Dragon King of the Earth tribe, naturally the Dragon King would control and prevent any leaks to the Heaven tribe. Next are the bird race, or bird category demon beast methods. Since the dragon race sometimes shows vulnerabilities to the bird race, those two are kept from leaking. Lastly, the serpent race methods. Serpent race? You mean snake demon beasts? Exactly. Serpent race demon beast methods are particularly troublesome for the mystical scaled fish commanding sect. However, they are not forbidden from being leaked. Since they've been purchased, the sect wants to make a profit but prefers not to sell them openly. So the mystical scaled fish commanding sect often ends up selling these serpent race demon beast methods off cheaply to just about anyone. That's how I was able to obtain demon beast methods from the sect myself. Why does the mystical scaled fish commanding sect dislike serpent race demon beast methods? Shouldn't they value serpent race methods the most since they are related to dragons? Is there a problem with the snake race methods? Who knows? From what I know, it's not so much about issues within the methods, but the mystical scaled fish commanding sect has a bad impression of snakes. The mystical scaled fish commanding sect has a bad impression of snakes? This is new information to me, sparking my curiosity. I focus on the conversation. Why would the mystical scaled fish commanding sect dislike snakes? I don't know the details. You'd have to ask them. Now, more importantly, isn't there a Taoist here truly interested in demon beast methods? While the mystical scaled fish commanding sect may not cultivate serpent race methods due to internal reasons, remember the legend that snakes can become dragons if they turn into a mugi. Perhaps using serpent race methods could be an opportunity to uncover the secrets of the most noble race in the Earth tribe, the dragon race methods. If that were possible, would the mystical scaled fish commanding sect, practically a puppet of the Black Dragon King, have allowed it to leak? Seemingly sharing my thoughts, the cultivators gathered here show expressions of disdain. The chi building stage cultivator, whether he is aware of it or not, continues to enthusiastically pitch the demon beast methods. If you find it difficult or undesirable to practice them yourself, why not take this opportunity to go to the Demon Beast store and purchase snake demon beasts to let your pet demon beast learn them? It's a great opportunity for your pet demon beast to learn authentic serpent race methods brought over from the Earth tribe's True Dragon Alliance. Still, it feels a bit off knowing these methods were discarded by the mystical scaled fish commanding sect. Despite the merchant's pitch, the other cultivators seem uneasy and disperse in various directions, clicking their tongues. Seeing this, the chi building stage cultivator's face falls, and he slackens his grip on the snake skins. If you're going to do business, it might be better to improve your sales pitch. Revealing all the uncomfortable details like that isn't going to attract anyone's interest. Even one of the cultivators offers him advice on doing business before leaving only me in front of his stall. It seems the surveillance spell has weakened by now. Slyly, I casually release the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts and reveal myself in front of him, asking, apart from those uncomfortable aspects of the methods you're selling, do they have any advantages? Of course, senior. He looks up at me, realizing I am at least a mid-stage core formation cultivator or higher, and begins to explain while bowing his head. The serpent race believes in the legend of becoming dragons and constantly cultivates to become imugi. While it's uncertain if they can truly become dragons, at least learning serpent race methods can make one an imugi. Imugi, you mean? Even the human race can become imugi by learning these? No, it's not like that. It means gaining the power of an imugi. Of course, if you were to raise a snake demon beast as a pet, it wouldn't be a bad idea to let it learn these methods. I don't raise snake demon beasts. Yo, you don't have to raise a snake. Even if you raise carp, centipedes, turtles, lizards, or other demon beasts related to dragons, the serpent race methods would still be effective. Centipedes. I become intrigued by his words and ask, centipedes can benefit from serpent race methods too? Yes. Don't they say if a centipede cultivates for 10,000 years, it can become a dragon? Since centipedes are related to dragons, the imugi becoming serpent race methods are effective. Since I came to buy materials for awakening Hong Fan, and if Hong Fan can also learn these demon beast methods, it seems not a bad idea to purchase them. It just so happens I'm considering raising a centipede demon beast myself, so why don't you give me a suitable method book for it? At my words, the chi building stage cultivator shows me the skins with a gleeful expression. Among the serpent race, scales that are closer to black are considered most auspicious. Therefore, the darker the color of the skin, the higher the grade of the serpent race method. Then, do you have any black snake skins? I'd like to get the best demon beast method available. Unfortunately, black snakes are considered very auspicious within the serpent race, so their skins do not leak out. Is that so? I remember the serpent race. I had a fleeting encounter with a few from the True Dragon Alliance. Most of the serpent race were known to be a patient race, focusing on their cultivation away from the world's turmoils, and those few I had encountered had such traits. It's probably because they mostly stay secluded and focus on cultivation that I hardly encountered them and don't know much. With that thought, I take one dark blue and one pure white shed snake skin from the chi building stage cultivator and tuck them away. A centipede becoming a dragon with Hong Fan's talent, it might be possible. I don't know why, but somehow, it feels utterly natural to me that Hong Fan will become a great being. Wawoom. I bury pieces of my nascent soul across various spiritual mountains on Thunder Spirit Island with the help of Yuan Yu. It's a secret technique that allows one to embed pieces of their nascent soul in places with spiritual veins so they can be retrieved later. It's similar to the blood souls of Yuan Li. However, the difference is that Yuan Li requires a massive amount of blood sacrifices to retrieve the blood souls buried in human-inhabited areas. I don't need such blood sacrifices. If I reach the nascent soul stage in a day, I'd be treated not as a genius, but as a monster or a spy with a hidden agenda. I have no intention of foolishly going to the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect and advertising. I've reached the nascent soul stage in just one day. I'll scatter my nascent soul for now and seal the demon core. Crackle. As Yuan Yu forms a hand seal, the energy flowing from his body seals the power within my demon core. Lastly, I summon the 5 elements blood curse banner and implant it in 5 places on the demon core. Plop, 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 plop. The 5 elements blood curse banner and Yuan Yu's spell completes the seal. Now, there's no way to discover that I reached the nascent soul stage using demon race methods. Only the pure power of the Heaven Tribes, Chi Refining 6 star, remains within me. If it's nascent soul in a day, I might be suspected. But Chi Refining 6 star should be within a believable range. With that thought, I return to the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Master, your unworthy disciple has come seeking assistance in my cultivation. I approach Jin Y, bowing and speaking to him. Jin Y looks at me with warm eyes and nods. Well, with your talent, you must have formed the law transformation Dantian already. Is it the understanding of the 72 earthly Sha true words that trouble you? No, I've reached the 6th star of Chi Refining. Would you assist me with the 7 stars ritual? Jin Y's eyes widen as large as lanterns as he abruptly stands up. Do not lie. You were given the accumulating lightning technique in the morning, and you reached the 6th star of Chi Refining by evening? Are you mocking your master? Not just 6th star of Chi Refining, I reached the nascent soul stage. If I had told him the truth, his reaction might not just be shock, but possibly a heart attack. It's true, master. That's preposterous hand over your hand. I will check if you truly are at the 6th star of Chi Refining. And so, I extend my hand to Jin Y, allowing him to verify my cultivation. Shortly after, The Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect is turned upside down by the news that I had reached the 6th star of Qi refining within a day of receiving the basic cultivation method. Translator notes. Reminds me of when Kim Young-hoon turned the whatever sect upside down by reaching first rate. Chapter 226, Black Snake 4. The vice sect master of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, Jin Y, doubted his own sanity. He had taken him to the scripture pavilion in the morning, given him the accumulating lightning technique, and taught him the basics. He had thought he would figure out how to form the law transformation dantian on his own. Since Jin Y himself is a heavenly spiritual root, and he managed to easily create the law transforming dantian, he thought Seo Eun-hyun, born with a lighting sacred body, would naturally do the same. Of course, he thought memorizing the true words for the 1st star of Qi refining might be a bit confusing and would take a few days. Jin Y had thought so because that was his own experience. No, fine. Let's say due to his legendary qualities, he can quickly surpass the 1st star of Qi refining. Since the 2nd star is linked to the 1st, let's assume he can surpass that too. But Jin Y swallows hard, unable to comprehend the unfathomable genius before him with his common sense. To learn the accumulating lightning technique in the morning and reach the 6th star of Qi refining by evening? How does that even make sense? And it seems the others around Jin Y feel the same, as everyone looks at Seo Eun-hyun as if he is a monster. Including the vice sect leader Jin Y, the sect leader Jin Lin, the supreme sect master Jin Byako, and all the elders gathered in front of Seo Eun-hyun's residence. Surrounding Seo Eun-hyun. So you're saying you gave him the accumulating lightning technique this morning? Yes. Jin Y nods. Jin Byako opens his mouth in disbelief. Are you really sure you just taught him now? Could it be that you secretly taught him when he joined the Flying Immortal platform? No. With all due respect, Supreme Sect Master, do you think that makes any sense? Instead, I'd like to ask you a question. I heard you first met this boy in the lower realm and tested his talent. Was he really just immortal then? Not at the 6th star of Qi refining. No. To be precise, he was on the verge of entering the Qi gathering stage. Yes, I see now. Jin Byako nods and speaks. He was originally just entering the Qi gathering stage. Perhaps he already knew about the 72 earthly Sha true words, the 36 heavenly gangs decrees, the 12 branches, the 10 heavenly stems, the 9 palaces, and the 8 trigrams. Doesn't that make sense? Didn't the Supreme Sect Master just verify it? This boy's accumulation of the 6th star of Qi refining isn't simply due to external techniques. It's purely through the accumulating lightning technique that he reached the 6th star. Knowing the formulas of external techniques and reaching Qi refining 6th star so quickly with the accumulating lightning technique, unless one madly abandons all their cultivation and repeats the process of understanding before breakthrough numerous times, it's impossible. So what are you trying to say? Jin Byako asks, somewhat excitedly stirred by Jin Y. Jin Y exclaims with a bewildered expression. Match him with Sohei? If not for a talent like Sohei, we absolutely cannot accommodate this boy's insane talent. As the discussion turns to Jin Sohei, Jin Byako's great-granddaughter, Jin Byako frowns slightly. Jin Y points excitedly at Seo Eun-hyun. If not Sohei, then the dual cultivation partners for this boy should be chosen from the nascent soul stage elders to balance it out. In my 1,050 years of life, I've never encountered such a nonsensical understanding/aptitude for understanding. Eun-hyun, show them. At Jin Y's excited command, Seo Eun-hyun steps forward and calmly displays the hand signs of the 72 earthly shas. The spiritual natures of the 36 heavenly gang decrees, the 12 branches spiritual energies, the 10 heavenly stems changes are all perfectly demonstrated. Not only that, but he also mastered the principles of the 9 palaces and the 8 trigrams, leaving Jin Byako and the other elders speechless with admiration. Perfect. He grasped the principles of the 72 earthly Sha true words with the accumulating lightning technique. It's like looking at children who have perfected their state after years of understanding before breakthrough, rather than breakthrough before understanding. That's how flawless it is. Amidst the elders' praises, Seo Eun-hyun's eyes flicker, but no one notices. Certainly, his talent is beyond belief. It's exciting to think how much he will grow after the 7 stars ritual. No need for chi-building pills or anything with such an exceptional understanding. And on top of that, such a person has the sacred lightning body and possesses a consciousness of the nascent soul stage. Jin Byako, who had been dumbfounded for a moment, bursts into laughter. Ha ha ha. Good. Good indeed. It's time for the 120,000-year reputation of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect to resound through the world again. Laughing heartily, Jin Byako stamps his foot. Coom. Behind him, a chair made of earth rises as if sprouting from the ground, then melts into glass under the lightning emanating from Jin Byako's body. Sitting on the glass throne, Jean Byako laughs heartily, emitting streaks of lightning. Since Sohei has a wall force constitution, suggesting her as a dual cultivation partner for someone with a lightning sacred body makes sense. If they become partners, they could unleash tremendous power. However, I'm sorry, but I promised her parents that I would let her choose her own partner. Jean Byako looks at Seo Eun-hyun and continues with a joyous smile. If you want to match that kid with Sohei, then make the kid win Sohei over. Otherwise, it would be better to just assign a nascent soul stage female elder from our sect. And if the lightning sacred body is like this, imagine how exceptional John Myung-hoon, who can be considered the reincarnation of our ancestor with the heavenly golden thunder body, must be. Jean Byako looks happily in one direction. That is where John Myung-hoon is receiving education from Jean Sohei. Personally, as Sohei's ancestor, I wish for Sohei to be matched with someone who possesses the heavenly golden thunder body, the symbol of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect. But who knows how that will turn out. However, if that happens, Sohei might actually be the one lacking in comparison. Having two such talented geniuses enter our sect is indeed a great fortune that could bring back the glory of 120,000 years ago. Jean Byako, genuinely happy, stands up from his temporary throne and walks over to Seo Eun-hyun, patting him on the shoulder. All of the sect is placing their hopes on you, Seo Eun-hyun. Do not disappoint us. Yes, I will bear that in mind. Yes. If the lightning sacred body is like this, I can't help but be excited about how outstanding the true heir to the ancestry's heavenly golden thunder body will be. I hope Sohei finishes instilling manners in him as soon as possible. Feeling ecstatic, Jean Byako can't stop laughing as he floats into the air. In our sect, there is a system called merit points, where members are awarded for undertaking the sect's missions, and these points can be used to borrow or obtain the sect's techniques, pills, magic artifacts, and dharma treasures. But, as the supreme sect master, I decree, from this moment on, Seo Eun-hyun and John Myung-hoon, the two geniuses of the sect, will be exempt from the merit points system. Provide them with whatever they want. Understood? Yes. After finishing his declaration, Jean Byako flies away using the flying escape technique, his smile stretching ear to ear. The golden lightning and intent are indistinguishable. I chuckle to myself as I observe the golden lightning and the golden intent emanating from Jean Byako. Then, turning my head towards the pavilion where John Myung-hoon is located, I ponder. Having attracted so much attention from the very beginning, John Myung-hoon will have no choice but to dedicate himself to cultivation, whether he likes it or not. Honestly, during my 15th reincarnation, I was quite surprised when I first met John Myung-hoon in his normal state. It was impossible for someone with such insane talent to still be at the core formation stage unless they had spent decades just fooling around. This time, I'll provide the stimulation myself. Not just that. If he doesn't understand, I'll use the methods of the Azure Heaven Creation sect to instill it in him. If that still doesn't work, I'll resort to brainwashing like Seo Huiol to forcibly elevate his cultivation. The Heavenly Lightning Banner was afraid of John Myung-hoon's touch. I clearly remember that moment. When John Myung-hoon held the Heavenly Lightning Banner, it feared his Heavenly Golden Thunder body. Once he regains his cultivation, controlling the Heavenly Lightning Banner should also be possible. Doing so might even make sealing the banner within the head realm easier. Of course, there is a possibility that John Myung-hoon won't listen to me. In preparation for that, I too must increase my strength. I resolved to rapidly advance my cultivation so as not to fall behind John Myung-hoon and decided to follow my master, Jean Y, to perform the 7 Stars ritual on Thundercloud Peak in a few days. Fortunately, the archives of the Thundercloud Pavilion had materials on the constellations of the bright cold realm. Study and learn from these. Yes, I had already memorized all the constellations, but I pretend to listen to Jean Y's instructions and quickly flip through the book. Honestly, your 7 Stars ritual will likely go smoothly. So now let's decide who you'll bring as your dual cultivation partner after the ritual. At those words, I inadvertently let out a sigh. To pair me with a nascent soul stage female elder? Most cultivators in the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect already have dual cultivation partners, being mostly in matrimonial relationships, whether men or women. To assign a nascent soul stage dual cultivation partner to me meant one of two things. She is either a widow or someone who has cultivated techniques like the Taiji Quaking Lightning Body to the point where their gender is indistinguishable. Either option is unappealing. Moreover, since I had previously avoided being assigned a dual cultivation partner under the pretext of the 7 Stars ritual, it will not be easy to avoid this time. No choice then. After being paired, I'll immediately enter secluded cultivation to recover my Heavenly Tribe nascent soul stage cultivation. Then, as a nascent soul stage elder, I can say I no longer need a dual cultivation partner. Considering there are quite a few nascent soul stage female cultivators who have not sought another partner after becoming widows, it seems not mandatory to have a dual cultivation partner after becoming an elder. That will solve everything. I internally make plans and simply nod for now. Understood. Good, good. After your 7 stars ritual, your dual cultivation partner will be Grand Elder Hong. Yes. Grand Elder? Not an elder, but a Grand Elder. The term Grand Elder implies someone at the Heavenly Being stage. The late Heavenly Being stage Grand Elder Hong will be assigned as your dual cultivation partner. Do you understand? I see. What kind of person is this Grand Elder Hong? Is she among the elders who came to see me earlier? No. Grand Elder Hong is someone who usually doesn't leave her quarters no matter what happens. As for what kind of person she is, Jean Y seems to ponder about Grand Elder Hong and then awkwardly smiles. She's a good person, just a bit unique. So much so that all her previous dual cultivation partners ran away, but her nature isn't bad. I can't help but ask incredulously at that moment, why would the dual cultivation partners want to run away from Grand Elder Hong? Grand Elder Hong as well, actually. After letting out a sigh, Jean Y reveals the truth. Because Grand Elder Hong has been conducting human experiments on her dual cultivation partners, attempting to manifest the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect's legendary constitutions. Upon hearing this, I instantly realized that Grand Elder Hong is no less a madman than the Mad Lord. Aren't I a valuable asset to the sect? That's correct. However, Grand Elder Hong, with your lightning sacred body, wouldn't dare to treat you recklessly. Moreover, her goal has been to manifest legendary constitutions, and you are essentially the target she has been aiming for. What about the Heavenly Golden Thunder Body? Grand Elder Hong has not dared to overstep towards the Heavenly Golden Thunder Body. She has always targeted the lightning sacred body, so she will definitely not harm you. Are you sure? I ask skeptically, trying to read Jean Y's intent. Could it be, Master, that you've already agreed upon this with Grand Elder Hong? Caught by my pointed question, Jean Y breaks into a cold sweat and suddenly bows his head. I'm sorry, my disciple. That mad woman, Grand Elder Hong, threatened to cause a scene if she couldn't have you, so I thought I'd at least pass the message. If you truly dislike it, I'll switch to an ordinary widowed nascent soul stage elder. Grand Elder Hong might throw a tantrum, but would it compare to the time when the Mad Lord came to the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect and wreaked havoc? The Supreme Sect Master will take care of it probably. Although I am somewhat dumbfounded by Grand Elder Hong, the more I think about it, the more appealing it seems. Not bad. Grinning, I think. She wants to experiment on me? Unless she intends to completely transform me like the Mad Lord, I can tolerate that level. Moreover, I consider the potential benefits of her infamous reputation. Using her attempts to experiment on me as an excuse, I can either run away within the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect or even escape outside, and everyone would just nod understandingly. Jean Y's reaction gave a clear picture of what kind of a lunatic Grand Elder Hong is. She might not be as bad as the Mad Lord, but she is certainly crazy. Moreover, if it's not a nascent soul stage elder but a late heavenly being stage elder, I can get much more advice on the lightning path methods from her. Of course, dealing with insane people often means normal logic will not apply. However, as mad as she might be, could she really be as bad as the Mad Lord? Having adapted to the Mad Lord's logic, I feel confident I can get used to her too. And most importantly, if she really is a madwoman intent on experimenting on me, I might become less attached than I anticipated. Planning to evade human experimentation as an excuse to roam freely without truly forming a dual cultivation partnership. Watching her chase me and throw fits would prevent any emotional attachment from forming. Even with regression, there won't be a shock to my psyche. That is the most appealing aspect. Of course, having decided to become part of the same sect family, I will likely develop some affection for my comrades in the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect. But she won't come close to being part of the family I will intensely bond with. That way, the shock upon regression will be somewhat lessened. With that in mind, I accept Jean Y's proposition. He, unsure of what to do, exudes a mix of gratitude and remorse. The day of the 7 stars ritual arrived. I climb onto the altar Jean Y has prepared and begin the ritual. Kagugagu. Inevitably, dark clouds gather again, severing the connection to the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Seeing this, Jean Y's eyes narrow. What's this? Isn't today the auspicious date for the ritual? It can't be. I checked everything. Master, what are those clouds? It seems today isn't the auspicious date after all. From what I know, such clouds can be dispelled by the ritual's participant themselves without any issue for the ritual. Is that correct? That's true, but you're only at the 6th star of chi refining. How can you possibly? Before Jean Y can finish, I draw upon the accumulating lightning technique and extend my hand towards the sky. Then, Using the power of the heavenly lightning I had harnessed when I advanced to the Chi building stage with demon beast methods, I unleash it with both hands. Quorum. The azure lightning from my hands ascend towards the sky, tearing through the clouds to clear a path for the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Witnessing this, Jean Y's eyes widen in disbelief. What in the world is this? So surprised is Jean Y that, during the rest of the 7 stars ritual, he couldn't even think to assist me. He just stood there, dumbfoundedly watching me. Crackle fizz. Swoosh. Receiving the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, I confirm that I have regained the vision of the heaven tribe. I have reached the 7th star of Chi refining. The accomplishments of my accumulating lightning technique have expanded even further, and I feel as though a path that had been blocked is now clear. Master, I have completed the 7 stars ritual. How? How did you manage to produce such lightning with the accumulating lightning technique? Who knows, it just worked when I tried. Hee. Jean Y, initially wearing a look of disbelief, begins to genuinely laugh. Yes. It seems he has finally come to accept my talent. This is the power of the lightning sacred body. Truly a blessing for our sect. If the lighting sacred body is this impressive, just how extraordinary must the heavenly golden thunder body of our ancestor be? Ancestor, you truly watch over our sect. Next to him, I smile meaningfully, calculating the remaining amount of azure lightning. With this much, it might be a stretch to reach Chi building, but reaching the pinnacle of Chi refining should be no problem. That is enough for me. I have yet to utilize all of the Heaven Tribe cultivation stored in the colorless glass sword, so I can simply proceed with those. The day after the 7 stars ritual. Are you the one called Seo Unhyun? In front of my cave residence appears a person dressed in a golden robe, belted with a golden sash. Despite the static electricity crackling around her, the hair of the woman, who had let her deep black hair grow down to her waist, remains as smooth as ebony. The woman, with her clean complexion, looks quite sane at first glance. I am Grand Elder Hong of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect. From today onwards, I will be your dual cultivation partner. Please take good care of me. For now, I greet her with polite manners. I'll have to dodge around her from now on, but I should at least make a good impression on the first day. And then, it happens. You. Suddenly, she bursts out in anger and stomps her foot. From the outside, lightning flashes and the sky roars. Do you really think your status is the same as mine just because I've become your dual cultivation partner? How dare you lack the proper manners towards a grand elder of the sect? What is she talking about? It's the correct etiquette according to the royal traditions of Shengzi. In my time, whenever a grand elder of the sect made an appearance, everyone kneeled and bowed their heads without question. Even 860 years ago, such etiquette was alive. Why has it become so lax? She's angry because I didn't follow etiquette from 800 years ago. I am momentarily irritated but eventually adjust my actions based on the traditional etiquette I had learned from Shengzi, kneeling and bowing my head. Let's just accommodate her for now. Yes, I apologize for my rudeness. Please forgive me. That should be enough, right? However, I can see her intent writhing with anger again. What is it now? The etiquette is wrong. Do it again. Grand Elder, with all due respect, this is the correct form of etiquette from what I understand. It's a motion I had verified by digging through the ancient documents of Shengzi's royal family and observing several royal ceremonies. There is no way it could be wrong. Yet, Grand Elder Hong stubbornly glares at me, insisting on her point. What do you know? It wasn't done like that 800 years ago. Her insistence on her age and arguing that my posture is wrong because of it leaves me momentarily speechless. What is this younger one babbling about in front of me? Her continued fussing about age and growing anger makes me increasingly annoyed. And then, Grand Elder Hong's face turns red with rage as she screams wildly. You? This disrespectful brat. Fine. If you really have no intention of correcting your etiquette, then I will personally study your body and perhaps a bit of education will be beneficial. I look into the eyes of Grand Elder Hong Su Ryong, which are ablaze with anger. And in the next moment, thinking I would treat you specially just because you have the lightning sacred body, huh? I let out a hollow laugh, realizing why she had suddenly come to me and started raging. I apologize. I was preoccupied with unnecessary thoughts, inadvertently troubling you with my intent. It wasn't because she suddenly decided to pick a fight over age. It was because I had been exuding an intent that suggested I wanted to run away from her and merely use her, which prompted her sudden outburst. No how could. After the Mad Lord, Azure Tiger Saint, and Oh Hyun Suk, I have met the 4th cultivator to achieve 3 flowers gather at the summit. Chapter 227, Black Snake, 5. Surururu. The moment I realized my opponent had achieved 3 flowers gather at the summit, I promptly reined in my intent. Simultaneously, interest sparked in Grand Elder Hong's eyes. The displeasure that had been present just moments ago washed away, no longer visible. You. Grand Elder Hong looks at me with a momentarily interested gaze, suddenly taking a step forward. Simultaneously, her arm rushes towards me. In my mind, I envision her hand piercing through my heart. However, in that vision, I split her body in half and kill her. Flinch. Grand Elder Hong is taken aback, but a smile appears on her lips. So it is. Were you originally not just any ordinary person, but a martial artist? One could say that. Good. What was your primary weapon? A sword. A sword. Ha ha ha. She does not hide her exhilarated intent. Perfect conditions to become a sword cultivator. Who? She opens her mouth and several orbs of light shoot out from her golden core, encircling her. A total of 16 golden swords. I, too, am a sword cultivator. Do you have any expertise in flying sword techniques? So that's it. I immediately understand what kind of entity she is. Just like the previous encounter with Biok Munsong, she is a sword cultivator who specializes in controlling flying swords. I'll lend you a magic artifact so we can have a match. Instead of Jin Y, I'll take on the role of your master. However, I just smirk. My master? With a sword? In front of me? Her? I glance towards a small table inside my quarters. I quickly swing my hand, cutting off one of the table's legs and holding it in my hand. If we're just sparring with sword techniques, this should suffice. Ha ha ha, you madman. Well, don't blame me when you get a thrashing. Crackle fizz. Her flying sword Dharma treasures draw upon lightning energy, emitting a golden glow. Wham! Her flying swords surge towards me swiftly. Holding the leg of the table, I spin around, smoothly deflecting the flying swords and then shoot towards her. However, I sense presences from behind, in front, above and below. At the same time, images form in my mind. A sword, silently concealing its presence, spring from the right diagonal below to stab at my throat. Mid-stride, I twist my body, bending at the waist. Just as I do so, a flying sword that came from my blind spot whizzes past where my head had been. Taking advantage of the moment, I twist my body. Flying swords from all directions lunge at me. Whirling. But I plant one foot on the ground, using it as a pivot as I swing the sword, the table leg, continuously without pause. Infusing chi into the table leg, I repel all of the flying sword Dharma treasures. Continuing the momentum of that rotational force, I rapidly surge towards Hong Su Ryong's blind spot. Then, I swing the sword in an upward slicing motion, and Hong Su Ryong, with a face full of exhilaration, grabs her golden sword and swings back at me. Zing! Crack! Shockwaves resonate in all directions, and the table leg creaks as if about to break. What are you really? You're the best, not just any martial artist from 3 flowers gather at the summit. Are you the 5 energies converging to the origin that comes once every few hundred years? The excitement of fighting with you surpasses any cultivator I've killed. Kagugugu. Under her heavenly being stage pressure, my body slowly sinks into the ground. The ground of my cave residence can't withstand it. Although my body completely disperses her power, making me practically unscathed, it seems the surrounding terrain and objects can't say the same. If I used even a little of the power of my physical body from demon beast methods, ultimate pinnacle, or the formless sword, I would guarantee victory. I observe her, gauging her level. Though we were merely crossing swords, several images formed in my mind. Scenes where she pressed me time and again, only for her head to end up pierced by the leg of my table. Even though I was being pushed back in the current situation, the future we saw as our intents mingled always ended with her defeated, miserably impaled on the table leg, without exception. With a laugh that seems to tear her mouth, Hong Surayong begins to infuse her Dharma treasure with power, intending to split my body in half. And as I exchange intents with her, I realize something and am startled. Wait, she's not at 3 flowers gather at the summit. This is, after about 10,000 pictures cycle through my mind, confirming her defeat. Out of those 10,000 times, just once, a single picture emerges where she and I end up destroying each other. If we compare our martial knowledge, it's an impossible scenario. My world, which has reached the treading heavens realm, cannot possibly be challenged by the level of 3 flowers gather at the summit. However, if it's a realm higher than the 3 flowers gather at the summit, it might be possible. 5 energies converging to the origin. Quagwang. With the speed of lightning, she kicks me in the chest, sending me flying into one of the residence walls. I crash into the wall, and immediately, spiderweb-like cracks spread throughout it. To think you'd kick me away using your cultivation at the end. You must not have been confident about winning properly. So what? Cultivation is also my power. If you're jealous, reach the heavenly being stage yourself. Hong Surayong, with a satisfied smile, begins to recall her Dharma treasures. I originally planned to capture you and slice you up with my flying sword technique, but what was that? It didn't feel like a cultivation technique. Wawoom. Hovering in the air in the cave residence, Hong Surang looks at the still unretrieved flying swords and asks. I retrieve my intent infused in her flying swords and return them to her as I speak. It's sword control. Oh, that's interesting, she says, receiving back the flying swords that had been completely under my control just moments ago. Up until just a moment ago, her flying swords were entirely dominated by me. If I had wanted to, I could have used her own flying swords to attack her. Such is the extent of my control. That's why, out of the 10,000 exchanges of intent, 10,000 times she was defeated. However, I recalled the one instance out of 10,000 where we ended up destroying each other. My sword control momentarily faltered. At that moment, her flying sword technique targeted me, and after splitting Hong Surayang in half and trying to respond to the flying sword technique, I missed one sword, resulting in a scenario where I also died. Of course, that assumes I didn't use the demon beast methods. But that's a meaningless assumption since she also hadn't properly used her cultivation techniques. By the way, you must at least be at the 5 energies converging to the origin or higher. Then, have you undergone complete transformation? Yes, that's correct. Then, it means you have both the lightning sacred body and the 5 elements spiritual root. She looks at me with interest. As expected, it was a good decision to coerce senior brother Jean into making you my dual cultivation partner. I've never met someone as interesting as you. I flinch at the sight of her eyes, shimmering with madness. I heard you've been conducting human experiments. Are you planning to experiment on me too? It's intriguing, but it would be meaningless. Excuse me. Do you know why I started human experiments? I don't know. Hong Surayang forms a seal towards one corner of the residence. A tree branch grows, forming a chair. She sits down on the chair and begins her story. The sword. Since I embarked on the path of cultivation, I've been fascinated by flying sword techniques. I've been consistently researching flying sword techniques and lightning path methods. Then, one day, I had the chance to observe the martial world, which is treated like insects in the cultivation world. Her eyes sparkle as she speaks. It was shocking to see them wielding swords so fiercely, so meticulously, struggling so desperately as the weak against the strong. It was something I'd never seen before. And then I realized, in the cultivation world, those who fling flying sword techniques around, boasting, look at me, I'm a sword cultivator, are all utter fools. Those fools who've never held a sword in their life think they can call themselves sword cultivators just by flinging flying swords. There's nothing more stupid than that. Her words are harsh, but since they resonate with my own thoughts, I quietly listened to her. From that day, I began to learn martial arts as well. Though my focus was mainly on sword techniques, holding a sword in my hands and wielding it was thrilling in itself. Fighting over and over again, I eventually reached an understanding of intent, saw the colors of intent through the 3 flowers gather at the summit, and ultimately reached the 5 energies converging to the origin. By any chance, have you also undergone complete transformation? I ask her, curious. She smirks and nods. Yes, but for me, I reached the 5 energies converging to the origin and underwent the complete transformation during the nascent soul grand perfection stage. Hence, I didn't have any trouble with lacking the 5 elements spiritual roots. I thought as much. Sensing her physique, I nod. Her body felt incredibly balanced. Such a physique wouldn't make sense unless she had undergone a transformation or mastered demon beast methods. Anyway, after reaching the 5 energies converging to the origin, a thought occurred to me. What was it? If human intent can change the physical body to undergo a transformation, adding the 5 elements spiritual roots to someone without spiritual roots through 5 energies converging to the origin. Then, depending on a person's will and effort, could a person's constitution also change? Crackling. Lightning swirls around her as she clenches her fist. Then, although the legendary constitution of the ancestors' heavenly golden thunder body might be too mythical, couldn't we reproduce something like a lightning sacred body, depending on human effort? That's where my thoughts led me. So I started experimenting on the human bodies of those who were made to be my dual cultivation partners. Oh, don't worry. None of the subjects of my experiments ended up with disabilities or met bad ends. They all became stronger, if anything. So that's why those mad experiments weren't stopped by the golden divine heavenly thunder sect. The dual cultivation partners who escaped from her, regardless of the outcome, became stronger, thus increasing the sect's power. It seems that experimenting on fellow sect members, even dual cultivation partners, was forgiven for this reason. Anyway, putting that aside, you were born with the lightning sacred body and reached the peak of martial arts, achieving the realm of 5 energies converging to the origin, so there's no reason for me to modify or experiment on you. You are essentially the goal I've been trying so hard to reproduce. Is that so? I nod. The idea that human intent and effort can change one's constitution. It's a research started from a very interesting perspective. In that case, do you also think the same about talent? Talent. Yes. The overall talent for cultivation methods or for martial arts. Do you also believe those can change? Talent. I have indeed conducted research on that as well. She nods and continues. And after my own research, I've come to the conclusion that the concept of talent does not exist in this world. Talent doesn't exist? I find the notion intriguing, having never considered such a perspective. Why do you say that talent does not exist? As someone who has observed the extraordinary pattern law talent of Bu Qianghua and the Mad Lord, and Kim Young-hoon's martial prowess, I find it hard to agree with her statement. And then, I am inevitably startled by the name she mentions next. Do you, by any chance, know of Chongmon Ryong from Biokra? Excuse me. Why would that name suddenly come up here? I nod in response. Yes, I've heard of him. I have a bit of a connection with the Chongmon clan. Then, you must also know Chongmon Ryong's nickname. Excuse me. I am confused at the mention of Chongmon Ryong's nickname. What? Did Chongmon Ryong have a nickname? I cautiously say. I only know he's called one of the 3 great masters of the chi building stage. What's that now? Excuse me. But to my surprise, Hong Sarong seems bewildered, as if she's hearing such a thing for the first time. However, she soon nods in acknowledgement. I see. I've heard that those below the core formation stage refer to him in that manner. A chi-building cultivator displaying the power of a core formation cultivator. However, from the late stages of core formation to the heavenly being stage, among higher-level cultivators, Chongmon Ryong had a different nickname. It's a nickname circulated among higher-level cultivators. No wonder I didn't know about it. I met Chongmon Ryong after all the nascent soul stages were already captured. Among such cultivators, Chongmon Ryong was called the Yellow Snake, meaning the wise one without talent. Yellow snake, you say? Yes. Since ancient times, snakes have symbolized wisdom. It's known that from the phrase, the heavens are black and the earth is yellow. Among high-level cultivators, he was called the Yellow Snake because it was said his talent fell to the earth. The Yellow Snake. I ponder her words. Then conversely, would a genius be called a black snake? I ask her about my question. Do you mean to ask about the black snake? She explains with her arms crossed. I don't know much about the black snake. After all, the idea that snakes symbolize wisdom comes from a legend secretly passed among the snake demons of the head realm. But from what I've heard, black snakes are considered more of an auspicious omen among snakes rather than signifying a genius. Black snakes signify an auspicious omen. Like the last time when buying the demon beast methods. Among snakes, black snake seems to be considered a good omen or an auspicious being. The heavens are black and the earth is yellow. If snakes symbolize wisdom, then black snakes symbolize wisdom of the heavens. The heavens represent fate. Perhaps among the serpent race, those who reached the plane of fate and became true immortals might be the black snakes. Anyway, the reason I brought up Chongmon Ryong was, crackle. She brings out 16 golden flying sword Dharma treasures again. 8 swords form points in all directions, and another 8 swords form points around the exterior. Inner trigram, outer trigram. Suddenly, the 8 trigram seal is imprinted on the swords, and the inner and outer swords begin to rotate in opposite directions. Wawoom. The flying swords exchange the power of the 8 trigrams with each other, creating countless transformations. The total number of transformations is 66. As my eyes accurately follow the flow of changes, Hong Su-ryong asks in surprise. Wow, you caught all the changes in one go. How many changes did you see? Don't think about hiding it. I've tested this on a few people. Just by looking at your eyes, I can tell how many transformations you saw. I was about to lessen the number, but decided to tell her exactly what I saw. Even if I hide my intent, she would know I can do so. Such a lie won't work on her anyway. 66. The inner trigram and outer trigram combines to create 64 transformations, and adding the flow of yin and yang above and below makes 66. Indeed, no one except Chongmon Ryong has been able to discern all the transformations at once. Her gaze sharpens. Is it really true that you reached Chi refining 6 star in one go through an innate understanding? I sigh inwardly. This has nothing to do with talent or cultivation, but more with how much effort one has put into the basic techniques under the approach of understanding before breakthrough. On the first day, I met Hong Su-ryong. Are you really in your 20s? You're not an old monster who scattered his cultivation to infiltrate the sect, are you? She quickly approaches the secret of my talent. Chapter 228, Black Snake, 6. This is why. Looking at Hong Su-ryong, who is eyeing me suspiciously, I think to myself, I really dislike quick-witted youngsters. But her sudden interrogation isn't meaningful. I readily extend one arm towards her. If you're doubtful, why not measure my physical age? Upon my suggestion, she quickly forms a seal and checks the pulse on my arm. Hong Su-ryong's spiritual power sweeps through my body like lightning. Then, her brows furrow slightly. Late 20s. Indeed. No matter how much she suspects something about me, this body is not brought from the future, so the information and history accumulated in this body itself only amounts to 2 or 3 decades. She narrows her eyes at me, scrutinizing. I meet her gaze squarely, showing no sign of intimidation. Well, fine. Let's leave it at that for now. Since there is no evidence to prove I am a suspicious old monster, Hong Surang reluctantly lets it go. I've always been interested in the approach of understanding before breakthrough and have studied it continuously. That's how I could read the flow at once. Please understand. All right, I understand. Though she still seems skeptical, Hong Surang eventually nods. Whether you're an old monster or not, doesn't really matter. What's important is, swoosh, the sword formation showing 66 transformations begins to change. That is, within the 64 transformations, the 72 earthly shas and 36 heavenly gang decrees naturally find their places. Based on this, the changes of the 12 earthly branches, 10 heavenly stems, and 9 palaces follow. And then the changes corresponding to the 7 stars, the 6 harmonies, 5 elements, and the 4 images. Transformations related to the 3 powers, yin and yang unity, the unified origin, and infinity begin to occur within her sword formation. Tist, tist, tist. Gradually, the transformations induced by her sword formation begin to accelerate. Basic techniques are not merely simple initial techniques. In the cultivation world, the language of cultivation is precisely these basic techniques. Even if one learns high-level cultivation methods, the complexity lies in the intertwining of basic techniques learned during qi refining, enriched with the creator's interpretation of these basic techniques, forming the high-level methods. Therefore, laying a solid foundation during qi refining not only makes the latter stages easier, but also significantly enhances the power of high-level techniques. The reason Changman Ryong could draw upon the power of core formation with his 1,000 lustrous forest C was precisely because he had mastered the language of basic techniques used in high-level methods, drawing out the true essence of the 1,000 lustrous forest C perfectly. And now, before me appeared another individual, like Changman Ryong, who was drawing out the power of techniques based on their understanding of basic techniques. Wung Wung. Extinguishing lightning, inner heavenly temple. From her dantian, lightning force erupts, connecting with the endlessly changing sword formation. That is, the changes in basic techniques occurring within the sword formation connect with the changes happening in her dantian, her innate method. At some point, the swirling sword formation before me perfectly reproduces Hong Surang's method. Beautiful. Her swordsmanship skills are far inferior to mine, and her enlightenment regarding the sword is also inferior. Not to mention, her enlightenment in the principle of understanding before breakthrough cannot compare to mine, who was directly taught by Changman Ryong. However, she has perfectly unified the principle of understanding before breakthrough with her flying sword techniques. If my sword control and formless sword are based solely on the enlightenment reached through the extreme limits of understanding the sword, her approach seems to perfectly harmonize the understanding of cultivation techniques and the enlightenment of the sword, dancing within her hands. Look, crackle, crackle. With the sword formation that elevates her cultivation and lightning power, she moves the formation. The sword formation, spinning and transforming before her, suddenly shoots towards a point in the cave residence like a fierce tiger under her command. Cut. I can clearly feel it. The power contained within the sword formation is only at the level of core formation. No, it is barely at the core formation stage, and in fact, it should be considered as an attack that utilizes the full strength of the Qi building grand perfection stage. But the next moment, flash, with a burst of light and lightning force, I see a huge hole being blasted through the back of my cave residence. Kugugugugu. The ceiling of the cave residence is blown away, and far in the distance, I can see other mountains of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect being swept away by the sword energy of the sword formation, leaving behind massive sword scars. Sure 3. Hong Surayang's sword formation emits smoke in a halted state. Insane. I let out a dry laugh upon realizing that she had deliberately infused only Qi building level energy to show me. It's not just about the destructive power. Her sword resonated with me in an instant. For those below the heavenly being stage, avoiding it is practically impossible. If a sword formation that spews out the power of the core formation from the Qi building grand perfection level is used with the power of the heavenly being stage, maybe she's just slightly less skilled than Jean Bayako. I revise my evaluation of her as I watch her retrieve her sword formation, from a madman obsessed with human experiments to a considerably skilled individual. Just then, Hong Surayang, you maniac. Hearing someone cursing Hong Surayang from afar makes her flinch. From a distance, an enraged voices echo from the mountain she had split with her sword energy. You lunatic. What displeases you now that you cause trouble even in our new territory? If you want to cause chaos, go do it outside. My apologies, senior brothers. Hong Su-ryong coughs awkwardly and responds. Anyway, if you properly grasp the basics like this, it's possible to unleash power beyond stages. And mastering the basics is not just a matter of talent. It's a matter of effort and will. That's why I've always thought that talent doesn't exist. I see. Effort and will determine talent. But if that's the case, what makes the difference between a genius and a dullard? I immediately asked her about my thoughts. Then what is the difference between a genius and a dullard? Nodding her head, she replies, I believe that everyone is a genius in some aspect. Those we call geniuses have just found the field suitable for them. Everyone finds the field they are drawn to, and by developing it with will, they can become a master of that field. That, I believe, is what the world calls a genius. Talent is, in a way, fate. So, it's not that talent exists per se, but rather the fate one is drawn to exists. Yes, in a way, what the world calls talent might just be fate. In other words, for her, talent is another name for fate. Fate. If what you're drawn to is your talent and your fate. What is my talent, my fate? It wasn't so much that I was drawn to martial arts from the beginning as much as I was resentful of being bullied and having my soap-making technique stolen during my 0th cycle, which led me to learn martial arts. If being drawn to something is fate, I still haven't felt a definitive pull that I can call my fate. I don't know. I sigh, deciding to ponder slowly over my fate. Then, I realize something. By the way, Grand Elder Hong. What is it? About my cave residence. She looks at my cave residence, where the roof had flown off and the back wall had been completely blown out, and gives an awkward laugh. A cave residence refers to a cultivator's abode. Typically, cultivators would dig caves in mountains, cliffs, or secluded places to cultivate for long periods, and caves located in areas with dense spiritual veins were highly sought after. One of the benefits of joining a large sect is getting such a cave residence provided for free. But now, my residence. As I gaze helplessly at my destroyed cave, Hong Su-ryong floats into the air with an awkward smile. Ahem. Since it's come to this, I'll find and bring you a better cave residence. Just wait a few days. Then, I shall take my leave. Poof. After finishing her sentence, she disappears using the flying escape technique, leaving me so stunned I nearly laugh. A month has passed. There had been many ups and downs, and many events had occurred in that time. And I had more conversations with Hong Su-ryong than I anticipated. What do you think is the essence of lightning, Senior Hong? The essence of lightning. I think of it as an instant. I've had that thought too. Surprisingly, I found that there was a lot I could learn from her, and she was practically acting as my master in place of Jean Y at the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. However, if we delve deeper into the Tao of lightning itself, the essence of lightning ultimately stems from the interchange between yin and yang. However, since yin and yang can also be interpreted as heaven and earth, if we consider that lightning is a power born instantaneously under heaven and earth, it can also be said to be instant. An instant between heaven and earth. It's similar to life itself. That's why, while practicing sword techniques, I often thought that a person's life is like lightning, struggling within heaven and earth and life and death, eventually fading away. From a higher perspective, a human's life might feel like a speck of dust or a fleeting moment. I see. Lightning flows through all things in the heavens and earth, and also through the human body. Thoughts occur through the exchange of electrical signals in the brain, and electricity is used when moving the body. That's right. It's no different for the demon race. They circulate yin and yang, and the weak lightning power born between them stimulates the brain, developing intelligence. In short, human actions, emotions, and reason are influenced by lightning. Therefore, lightning is not only a natural law, but also the law of existence. The law of existence. Maybe that's why from the third stage of manifestation, it takes on the characteristics of heavenly tribulation. Existence. Crackle, crackle. I spark lightning with the tip of my finger. Over the past month, I fully recovered the Heaven Tribe nascent soul stage cultivation. Although I haven't yet regained the mid-nascent soul stage that I vaguely remember reaching in the 16th cycle, I feel that I will soon reach it as I am learning the lightning path method infused with the power of yang, so I'm not worried. Now, I am in the process of learning the 7 lightning quaking scripture and the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple. Crackle. Green lightning dances at my fingertips. It's the 4th stage of the 7 lightning quaking scripture. Inside my dantian, I can feel the power of the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple writhing. Wawoom. I had successfully mastered up to the 6th star of the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple, which consists of 12 stars in total. Isn't it said that it typically takes 40 years to reach the 6th star of the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple at a normal cultivation speed? That was what I heard from Hong Su-ryong regarding the normal cultivation speed. It's indeed the sacred lightning body. Of course, Hong Su-ryong also knows that my quick progress of the lightning path methods is due to my lightning sacred body. She looks at me with curious eyes, measuring my cultivation. No matter how I look at it, it seems more like you're recovering lost cultivation realms rather than that of normal cultivation. It's an unbelievable speed. Is this the power of a legendary physique? Well, isn't it? Ho-ho. Now I'm even more eager to replicate the lightning sacred body. From my perspective, Senior Hong, wouldn't it be better to solidify the foundations of the techniques you've learned before trying to replicate the sacred lightning body? Quiet. What do you know to be giving me advice? Over the month, Hong Su-ryong and I had become close enough to engage in such casual conversations. Surprisingly, we get along well. She feels like a mix of Chongmun Ryong and Kim Young-hoon. In terms of spells and lightning path methods, she is like Chongmun Ryong. When she duels with me using her sword techniques, she shows a side similar to Kim Young-hoon. That's probably why I became comfortable with her so easily. Well, let's stop here for today. Listening to you, I've been inspired. I need to kidnap some newbies and run some experiments. Please ensure the experiments are moderate so as not to spread any strange rumors. I advise her with an uneasy look. However, she seems to have gotten some inspiration from our conversation and already entered her own world, muttering something to herself. It's good that she doesn't see me as an experimental subject. Through our conversations and her research on the sacred lightning body, her goal to replicate it with her own hands seems to become even firmer. Recently, there have been many rumors about her kidnapping new disciples from the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, especially those from the Bright Cold Realm, for experiments in her research cave residence. Of course, even though the new disciples might suffer, they either gain unique abilities or their cultivation improves without harm. Therefore, the elders don't really make a big issue out of it while they may talk. I leave her cave residence and return to mine. Feeling guilty about destroying my residence, Hong Su-ryong had taken another spiritual mountain from Thunder Spirit Island and made it into my new cave residence. Thanks to her, my abode is now much larger and the spiritual veins are more concentrated. Let's start today's training. I begin my cultivation in the lotus position inside my abode. Hong Su-ryong was amazed that I had reached the 6th star of the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple in just over a month, thinking it was the power of the lightning sacred body. However, crackle, crackle, thousand lustrous forests see. A beautiful jade-like energy spreads around my body, crackling with lightning. The extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple specializes in creating a thunder palace inside the Dantian to enhance resistance to lightning and seek assistance from rituals. It is particularly adept at establishing dominion over the surrounding terrain. The Thunder Palace mentioned here is more of a metaphor for the 64 hexagrams than an actual palace. The inner and outer trigrams combine to form 64 hexagrams within the Dantian. Lightning power courses through the paths of these 64 hexagrams, gradually thickening. Crackle, crackle. And at the center of these hexagrams grows a tree. It is an immensely large tree. In the trigrams, wood represents lightning. The thousand lustrous forest sea, which dominates the surroundings by laying down its wood property, matches very well with the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple that dominates the surroundings with its lightning property. Therefore, practicing the thousand lustrous forest sea and the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple simultaneously greatly increases my cultivation speed. Moreover, by embodying the flow of yin and yang through demon-beast methods and amplifying the power of lightning within my body with the power of the lightning sacred body, my cultivation speed increases several-fold more. The result of this amplified and further amplified cultivation speed is reaching the 6th star of the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple within a month. Crackle, crackle. Around me, trees made of lightning begin to form a forest. Inside the sea of lightning trees, I cultivate the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple at an incredible speed. Thanks to the cultivation speed of the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple, the 7 lightning quaking scripture is also growing rapidly. Kurung, kurung, kurung. Orange, yellow, and green lightning spews from my body, emitting 3 banners. I wondered why there wasn't a red banner, but Hong Su-ryong told me that red lightning is used for summoning the heavenly lightning banner. Hence, there's no separate red banner. Crackle, crackle. I enter a state of deep concentration surrounded by lightning. Reaching the 6th star of the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple is an achievement of the late core formation stage, but I only reported this accomplishment while keeping my entry into the nascent soul stage a secret. And the response was explosive. Unbelievable. So this is the power of the lightning sacred body. Indeed, the incarnation of lightning. Ancestor. The memories of Jean Byuk-ho and the elders screaming in joy are still vivid. 7 days later. A ceremony to appoint me as an elder of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect was prepared. Even though I had only shown the achievement of the late core formation stage to Jin Byuk-ho and the elders, they seemed ready to appoint me as an elder immediately. An elder in just a month. It was fine to show them my rapid progress up to the grand perfection core formation stage. After all, for those from the bright cold realm, reaching core formation is only a matter of time. From the nascent soul stage onwards, enlightenment regarding planes is necessary, so it's okay if it takes a bit longer. Just the right level. I meld the power of the 1,000 lustrous forest sea with the power of lightning, breaking through to the 7th star of the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple. Crackle. The lightning rides inside me, rotating with the vigor of a dragon. For the remaining time, I'll just pretend to slowly enter the nascent soul stage and quickly break through to the mid-stage. I am confident I can swiftly pass through the late nascent soul and core formation stages, so I just need to manage the mid-stage of the nascent soul, which I lost my memory of in the 16th cycle. Crackle. After a while, I store the lightning and approach two beings practicing in a corner of my cave residence. They are Yuan Yu and Hong Fan. Crackle, crackle. Although I had received the Taiji quaking lighting body, practicing a body-swapping technique like that sober is honestly quite awkward, so I eventually decided to pass it on to Yuan Yu. For Yuan Yu, who possesses a body that harmonizes yin and yang, the Taiji quaking lighting body is the best choice. Yuan Yu's achievements with it are improving day by day. Hong Fan is cultivating after awakening his name with the sacrificial name Spirit Steel Great Method. Wawoom. When I handed over a serpent race method I purchased to Hong Fan, he quickly learned the method. His achievements have already reached the mid-chi refining stage. That is, he has reached the critical point of the 7th star of chi refining. Pop. Suddenly, Hong Fan's abdomen, which had been quietly absorbing spiritual energy for cultivation, explodes. I hurriedly infuse life force into Hong Fan. Hong Fan's abdomen heals once again. At some point, he rides wildly, and then suddenly sheds his shell. It's the shedding according to the intricacies of the serpent race method. After repeating the process of his body exploding and me infusing life force several times over a month, Hong Fan also reached the 7th star of chi refining in a month. Wriggle, wriggle. Now as big as my forearm, Hong Fan rubs his head against my arm to show affection. It seems he doesn't possess enough intelligence to articulate proper language yet, but he appears to realize that I am helping him grow well in this life too. After patting Hong Fan's head once, I return to my spot and unfold the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple again. Kururum. The lightning terrain is laid around me. A method specialized in conducting rituals through the terrain. That is the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple. Then Yuna. Crackle, crackle. I activate the connection to Kim Yun that is linked through the mysterious bizarre goo. Then, through the power of the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple, I transform my will into a signal and feed it into the connection with the mysterious bizarre goo. Since Kim Yun and I are unexpectedly far apart, direct communication through the mysterious bizarre goo is impossible. Therefore, it is only possible to convey my will to her by borrowing the power of the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple. Of course, I haven't received a reply yet. Unless she actively begins to learn the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon and further activates the connection with the mysterious bizarre goo through her consciousness, it will remain so. For now, the best I can do is send her signals that can help with the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon. I hope it helps. Crackle. After deactivating the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple, I step outside my abode. Hello, Senior CEO. Outside the cave residence, disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect greet me with looks of respect, and passing elders acknowledge me as well. Haha, Daoist CEO. Tomorrow is the day, isn't it? Then, an elder familiarly calls me Daoist CEO and settles next to me. Yes, it seems so. I laugh and look at one of the pavilions of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. The Discipline Pavilion. Inside, John Myung-hoon has been learning about the common knowledge, etiquette, language, basics, and so on of this world. I heard his education will end tomorrow. Starting tomorrow, the attention towards Daoist CEO will fade a bit. Don't feel too sad about it. Haha, isn't he the heavenly golden thunder body, after all? Yes, I understand. From tomorrow, John Myung-hoon will finally begin to learn the basic methods of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Chapter 229, Black Snake, 7. That's all for today. With that, the history lessons of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect are concluded. You've learned about the culture, language, and etiquette of Shengzi, as well as the basic language, constellations, general culture, and common knowledge of the bright cold realm. From today, you'll formally start learning the lightning path methods. Understood? Yes, I understand. John Myung-hoon nods his head. It seems about a month has passed since he landed in this strange world, and was captured by Jin Byako in a place called Ascension Path. During that time, John Myung-hoon learned many facts under the guidance of Jin So-hei. This world really is a Xianxiao world where Qi and cultivation sects live and breathe. In fact, falling into a world of cultivators isn't necessarily a good thing. To John Myung-hoon, who knows the workings of a Xianxiao world better than anyone, it is almost like being trapped in a dangerous maze. I despaired when I realized it wasn't the world of lightning Taoist, but it's okay. John Myung-hoon looks at his body. Unbeknownst to himself, he is said to possess the mythical quality known as the Heavenly Golden Thunder Body. Over the past month, while learning the history of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect from Jin So-hei in the Discipline Pavilion, he clearly understood the power of the Heavenly Golden Thunder Body, a physique that doesn't need to worry about heavenly tribulation until reaching the very end of cultivation. Moreover, Heavenly Lightning Energy aids in the training of lightning path methods, allowing for cultivation at a speed several times faster than that of ordinary cultivators with heavenly spiritual roots. The legendary constitution of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Even if you combine all the legendary and prestigious physiques like the Lightning Sacred Body, Black Lightning True Body, Seven Colors Golden Lightning Golden Body, or even slightly lesser ones like the Wall Force Constitution, Primordial Origin Physique, and Red Spirit Water Body, none can ever reach the owner of the Heavenly Golden Thunder Body. Even the Lightning Sacred Body, which is referred to as lightning itself, can't match the Heavenly Golden Thunder Body. At the pinnacle of the Heavenly Golden Thunder Body, it was said Yang Su-jin could artificially produce lightning sacred bodies, clearly showing the prestige of the Heavenly Golden Thunder Body. My life in this world will be in easy mode from now on to the absolute top of success. John Myung-hoon smiles contentedly as he looks at Jin So-hei. To climb to the top of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, indulging in power. That too will be the best. John Myung-hoon has long since abandoned any thoughts of returning home. What awaits me back home is just the power struggle of SJD Company. Saying goodbye to the foolish act of cleaning up after my uncle in such a frustrating medium-sized company. He recalls the legends of Yang Su-jin, the founder of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Legends tell of Yang Su-jin roaming the 3,000 worlds, ascending to the pinnacle of true immortality, and aside from a few terrifying beings, no one could stop his tyranny. Of course, Jin So-hei described it as a domineering journey, but honestly, John Myung-hoon found Yang Su-jin's actions to be as audacious as China on Earth. It's just glorified because he's an ancestor. Anyone on the receiving end would have wanted to kill him. What comforted him is that, fortunately, Yang Su-jin eradicated anyone who dared to cross him once, either by exterminating them root and branch or by imposing restrictions to ensure they could never influence the realm again. Hence, there is no worry of revenge. Anyway, having power in this world means you can act like Yang Su-jin. And John Myung-hoon was born with the same qualities as Yang Su-jin. From now on, the history of this world will revolve around me, John Myung-hoon. He smiles as he leaves the Discipline Pavilion with Jin So-hei. Kurung. John Myung-hoon heads with Jin So-hei to Thundercloud Peak, known as the peak with the densest spiritual veins in the sect. At the summit of Thundercloud Peak, in front of the Thunder Tribute Hall where the sect's sacred artifacts are sealed, Supreme Sect Master Jin Byako, other leaders, and the elders are exuding a powerful aura. Cultivators above the Qi refining stage mostly have no need to walk on their feet, so when climbing high places like Thundercloud Peak, stairs are unnecessary. Therefore, following the etiquette learned in the Discipline Pavilion, John Myung-hoon rides on Jin So-hei's flying magic artifact and takes a solemn standing posture. Jin So-hei's flying magic artifact slowly ascends to Thundercloud Peak. Below Thundercloud Peak are the Qi refining and Qi building disciples. Midway are the core formation disciples. And at the edge, nascent soul stage elders are sitting or floating in the air. John Myung-hoon, while maintaining his standing posture, discreetly observes the faces of the nascent soul stage elders and the heavenly being stage elders. I need to quickly familiarize myself with the faces of the sect's power structure. Opportunities come only to those who are prepared. John Myung-hoon starts to quickly imprint the faces and characteristics of the sect's highest echelons in his mind, using his experience from the company. Seo Eun-hyun thought John Myung-hoon wasn't doing any work, but the reality was different. John Myung-hoon wasn't slacking off at the company. Rather, he was continuously working behind the scenes to make himself look good to the highest powers. There's no need to worry about those core formation disciples. Starting from the nascent soul stage elders to the heavenly being stage elders, and even becoming close with Supreme Sect Master Jin Byako of the 4-axis stage is what's most important. John Myung-hoon's cunning mind works rapidly. Going forward, I need to quickly identify the specialties and precious resources of the bright cold realm, securing them for myself, and using them as gifts to get close to the sect's higher-ups. His eyes sneakily shift towards Jin Sohei. And since Jin Sohei is also a descendant cherished by Jin Byako, it will be best to get even closer to her. He smiles inwardly while looking at Jin Sohei. Honestly, in terms of looks, she's not inferior to anyone. Considering the nature of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, which involves dual cultivation, there's a high chance I'll become her partner. I'll completely subjugate her in bed. John Myung-hoon was born a winner. Although SJD Company wasn't a conglomerate, it was still a bath product company that was somewhat renowned in the industry. Especially in soap production, it was an innovative company without equal. John Myung-hoon was born into the Pyongyang John family that held a significant stake in SJD Company. He never lacked anything because of money and had never bowed his head to his peers unless they were from a truly powerful family. Of course, after officially joining the company, he did receive some cold shoulders from his colleagues. But as long as his uncle John Myung-chul was there, nobody dared to openly criticize him. And John Myung-hoon believed his life would continue to be successful. Now that he had acquired the heavenly golden thunder body, it's a future he can truly be certain of. That reminds me. Didn't they say CO whatever? That guy also come here. John Myung-hoon thinks for a moment and finally remembers the name CO Eun-hyun. Right, it was CO Eun-hyun. John Myung-hoon recalls CO Eun-hyun and smirks. They had joined the company at the same time and were the same age. Perhaps because of that, CO Eun-hyun initially tried to become close to John Myung-hoon by talking to him a lot. He was a guy who didn't know his place. Of course, John Myung-hoon had no interest in someone who was just ordinarily poor, ordinarily humble, and worked hard ordinarily. He was just an average person not worth dealing with. So, John Myung-hoon ignored CO Eun-hyun's attempts to get close. He didn't know his place. What an annoying guy. John Myung-hoon feels a sudden irritation as he thinks of CO Eun-hyun. When CO Eun-hyun and John Myung-hoon were at the same rank at the beginning of their employment. Initially, a bit more attention was given to John Myung-hoon, John Myung-chul's nephew. However, it didn't take long for the workplace superior's attention to shift to CO Eun-hyun, who, although slightly less competent, worked incredibly hard, and to Kong Min-hee, who seemed unenthusiastic but handled work swiftly and flexibly. Kong Min-hee was acceptable. She's a woman after all. She had been on John Myung-hoon's list of people to win over eventually. However, John Myung-hoon was annoyed that CO Eun-hyun, another man, kept drawing attention away. So, after quickly climbing the ranks with John Myung-chul's help, he openly bullied CO Eun-hyun, telling him to quickly disappear from the company. Yet, CO Eun-hyun didn't leave the company and stubbornly held on. Especially when Kim Yun, a cute new employee, joined, John Myung-hoon bullied CO Eun-hyun more openly. But for some reason, Kim Yun started showing overt affection for CO Eun-hyun at some point. John Myung-hoon grew annoyed by CO Eun-hyun. I was planning to properly crush him after getting drunk at the workshop with Chief O and plotting together. He smirked triumphantly. Well, it turned out for the best. It'll be fun to crush him to the point of no return in the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. After all, it's a world where human rights barely exist. He can crush him more thoroughly than at the company. John Myung-hoon decides to look for CO Eun-hyun from the bottom of Thundercloud Peak. Let's see. Didn't they say he was born with the lightning-something body? Jin Sohei mentioned that CO Eun-hyun also learned cultivation methods and made significant progress. So, he must be among the chi refining disciples, right? However, CO Eun-hyun is not found below. Chi building level for him? He was diligent in whatever he learned, but that's about it. He surely couldn't have reached chi building, and he didn't like me either. John Myung-hoon turns his gaze away from below and snickers. Probably he couldn't stand seeing me attracting so much attention from the sect and hid somewhere. Kiki. John Myung-hoon feels pleased. If CO Eun-hyun understood his place and shrunk away without appearing before him, there would be no need to go out of the way to crush him. Thinking this, he turns his gaze upwards. Slowly, the flying magic artifact operated by Jin Sohei approaches the summit of Thundercloud Peak, Thunder Tribute Hall. Let's not worry about the guy cowering below. My path lies in the vast sky above. John Myung-hoon turns his eyes towards the summit, blinking in confusion at something he can't understand. Confused and momentarily forgetting his manners, he blurts out a dumbfounded sound. Jin Sohei gives him a side-eye, signaling him to mind his behavior. John Myung-hoon quickly shuts his mouth, but his mind is filled with questions. What? Why? Wawoom. Before long, the flying magic artifact carrying Jin Sohei and John Myung-hoon arrives at the summit of Thundercloud Peak. And John Myung-hoon's eyes meets with his. A dark blue belt. CO Eun-hyun, wearing a badge proving his qualification as someone fully capable of becoming a future elder, indicating he has completed the core formation stage, is giving John Myung-hoon a meaningful smile from among the nascent soul stage elders. He fails to comprehend. Why is that guy there? While he is confused, the flying magic artifact reaches the summit of Thundercloud Peak, in front of Thunder Tribute Hall. The heavenly being stage elders and Jean Byuk-ho, floating above Thunder Tribute Hall, descend one by one in front of John Myung-hoon and solemnly announce, "Today, our Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect has once again fully reclaimed the Ancestors' divine artifact, the Heavenly Lightning Banner, and the source of the Ancestors' power, the Heavenly Golden Thunder Body. The day when we regain the renowned name of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, which once held prestige across all 3,000 worlds, is not far off." Jean Byuk-ho's speech goes on for a while, followed by a ceremony where he holds the Heavenly Lightning Banner and prays for blessings from the ancestor, Yang Soo-jin. With this ceremony concluded, John Myung-hoon is hereby recognized as an official disciple of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect. Finally, John Myung-hoon is officially made a disciple of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect. John Myung-hoon, following the etiquette, bows to Jean Byuk-ho. "I will heed the words of the Supreme Sect Master as if they are commands of the heavens." After several more rituals are performed, John Myung-hoon is finally able to receive what he has long awaited. "Now, John Myung-hoon, here is the basic method you will learn, the accumulating lightning technique. Your heavenly golden thunder body has the ability to gather heavenly lightning energy, so mastering the accumulating lightning technique will be good. This is the beginning." John Myung-hoon smiled brightly. Jin So-hae said it takes normal heavenly spiritual root cultivators 2 to 3 years to master the accumulating lightning technique and reach the peak of chi refining. For me, it shouldn't take more than a year, maybe even just 6 months to master it. It's when John Myung-hoon is full of confidence. Mastering the accumulating lightning technique? Well, it should take only an hour or two, haha. John Myung-hoon discovers a slight dissonance between Jean Byuk-ho's and his own sense of time. The accumulating lightning technique is too basic for someone with a heavenly golden thunder body like you. Honestly, it's almost embarrassing to ask you to learn it. However, it's the foundation of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, so you must master it. Please understand. Yes. Of course, it's right to start with the basics. John Myung-hoon is a bit embarrassed to receive Jean Byuk-ho's expectation that he would succeed in mastering the accumulating lightning technique in just an hour or two. What? Is the heavenly golden thunder body I possess really that incredible? Haha. Seeing how well you understand the importance of fundamentals makes me feel reassured already. I heard that Seo Eun-hyun, who is inferior to you in talent and was born with the lightning sacred body, is your comrade. Yes, that's correct. Seo Eun-hyun, that guy. He's my comrade. He doesn't know his place. That Seo Eun-hyun received the accumulating lightning technique in the morning and reached the 6th star of chi refining by evening. Reaching the 7th star took a bit of time due to procedural issues, but today is just the right day for you. Yes. In other words, as soon as you reach the 6th star of chi refining, we can immediately hold the 7 stars ritual for you today. Jean Byuk-ho laughs heartily, patting John Myung-hoon's shoulder as if he is already proud. "I believe in you, my disciple." Ah yes. John Myung-hoon has no choice but to nod dumbfoundedly. After the welcome ceremony for John Myung-hoon, the new disciple with the heavenly golden thunder body, John Myung-hoon heads to his assigned cave residence and to begin reading the text of the accumulating lightning technique. And John Myung-hoon's face stiffens. Damn, what kind of gibberish is this? Shockingly, John Myung-hoon couldn't understand a single character of the accumulating lightning technique's intricacies. The next day arrives. The Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect is turned upside down. What do you mean you didn't hold John Myung-hoon's 7 stars ritual yesterday? I specifically chose the right timing to grant him the accumulating lightning technique yesterday. Jean Byuk-ho's roar thunders through the Golden Thunder Hall where the sect's affairs are managed. One of the heavenly being stage elders, appointed as John Myung-hoon's master, Jin Jin-chan, steps forward and says, "I apologize, Supreme Sect Master. However, it seems John Myung-hoon is fundamentally ignorant about the cultivation world. He lacks the fundamental understanding of spiritual energy, spiritual power, and the intricacies of cultivation methods." Jean Byuk-ho clicks his tongue. Indeed, I was too excited about the heavenly golden thunder body and forgot that the boy was just a mortal until recently. Jean Byuk-ho nods and asks, "So, how long will it take for him to grasp the basics of cultivation methods and understanding of spiritual energy, so he can reach the 6th star of chi refining?" Jin Jin-chan seems to ponder for a moment before responding. "I believe 7 days and nights should suffice. It will take about 5 days to teach him the breathing techniques for spiritual energy, the locations of the meridians, and so on, so 7 days should be plenty." 7 days and nights. Well, I understand. I expected too much from a child who was just a mortal until recently. Jean Byako speaks with a tone of understanding, but clear disappointment is evident in his eyes. Then, let's hear about John Myung-hoon's achievements again after 7 days and nights. Hopefully, he won't be unable to hold the 7 stars ritual by then. I will ensure we can hold the 7 stars ritual within 7 days and nights. Do not worry, Jean Jinshan confidently states. And 3 months pass. John Myung-hoon finally reached the chi gathering stage. Finally, Wawoon. John Myung-hoon tears up with joy at the law transformation dantian formed in his lower abdomen, and Jean Jinshan, appointed as John Myung-hoon's master, does his best to control his facial muscles to not show his mixed feelings. Yes, well done, Myung-hoon. Jean Jinshan mutters under his breath, sighing softly. Let us go report your achievement to the Supreme Sect Master. Haha, yes. Understood. John Myung-hoon, fascinated by the sensation of spiritual energy swirling around his fingertips, expels spiritual power with his fingertips and follow Jean Jinshan. Good. After 3 months of hard work, I've got a feel for cultivation methods. I'll quickly progress through chi refining too. And, as John Myung-hoon happily follows Jean Jinshan to the Golden Thunder Hall where Jean Byako resides. Ha 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 ha. Well done, Seo Eun-hyun. No, Elder Seo. Inside the Golden Thunder Hall, Jean Byako's laughter thunderously echoes the space. Jean Jinshan enters the Golden Thunder Hall with John Myung-hoon, wearing a complicated expression. Inside the Golden Thunder Hall, there stands Jean Y, with an expression so proud it is almost unbearable, next to Seo Eun-hyun. Have you arrived, Jinshan? Look here. My disciple has reached the 9th star of the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple and ascended to the nascent soul stage in just 3 months. The following question twists the expression of Jean Jinshan, appointed as John Myung-hoon's master, drastically. After hiding the heavenly golden thunder body in seclusion for 3 months, you finally show your face today. So, has the heavenly golden thunder body also reached core formation? Or, perhaps like Seo Eun-hyun, already achieved nascent soul stage? Not only Jean Y but also Jean Byako, who had been bursting with laughter, now looks at Jean Jinshan and John Myung-hoon with eyes full of expectation. Jean Jinshan grits his teeth slightly and pushes John Myung-hoon forward. My disciple, John Myung-hoon's achievement is... And the words that follow turns the Golden Thunder Hall upside down. What? Chapter 230, Black Flash, 8. Wawoon Wawoon. The sound of thunder resonates through the golden, divine, heavenly thunder sect. As Jean Byako's temper flares, the celestial phenomena changes, and lightning flashes through the dark clouds. Do you really think that reaching the chi gathering stage in 3 months makes any sense? Jean Jinshan bites his lip, unable to meet the enraged gaze of Jean Byako. Typically, for those with mixed spiritual roots, creating a law transformation dantian takes about 1 to 5 years at the fastest and slowest, respectively. For those with true spiritual roots, it takes about 1 to 3 months, while those with a single heavenly spiritual root can create a law transformation dantian in a day or 2 under normal circumstances. This normal standard is based on the criteria of the lower realms, specifically the head realm. In the bright cold realm, everyone is born with a law transformation dantian as if it's a given from birth. Even newborns born with mixed spiritual roots naturally absorb heaven and earth's spiritual energy within 1 or 2 months after birth to generate a law transformation dantian. In other words, John Myung-hoon's pace was even slower than that of newborns in the bright cold realm with inferior qualities. Just how did you teach the heavenly golden thunder body to waste such an absurd amount of time with this foolish pace? Naturally, instead of reprimanding John Myung-hoon, Jean Byako vents his anger on his master, Jean Jinshan. Seeing someone born with a physique like Yang Soo-jin, the founder of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, lagging behind even those with 5-element spiritual roots, and struggling to even enter the chi refining stage makes the expressions of Jean Byako and the other elders darken. It's my incompetence that I could not teach my disciple properly. Even if I had 10 mouths, I could not excuse myself. Of course, Jean Jinshan, John Myung-hoon's master, wants to have even more mouths to express his grievances. Damn, what's the use of having the heavenly golden thunder body? It's said that those with a heavenly spiritual root can create a law transformation dantian within a day or 2. But that standard assumes the cultivator is giving their all and focusing intently on their training. For cultivators to practice cultivation methods, not only must they be familiar with the terminology used in those methods, but they also need a basic understanding of spiritual energy and consciousness, as well as the meridians to allow spiritual energy to circulate throughout the body. Of course, higher realm cultivators possess techniques to forcibly inject knowledge into another's upper dantian, making knowledge not that significant an issue. After injecting knowledge and a few practice sessions to embody it, that type of basic knowledge is considered imparted. Originally, Jin Jinshan's claim that he could raise John Myung-hoon to the 6th star of Qi gathering within 7 weeks was based on such common sense. However, the elders of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect misjudged one crucial aspect regarding John Myung-hoon. It's about willpower. Cultivation is no joke. Even for someone with a heavenly spiritual root, the process of absorbing spiritual energy and creating a law transformation dantian through the circulation of yin and yang takes a day or two of immense concentration. It demands mental fortitude to maintain focus without deviation and repeatedly perform the same actions endlessly for 2 days. Children of cultivation clans and disciples of mountain hermits or cultivation sects undergo years of mental training to form a law transformation dantian within the expected time frame without issue. However, John Myung-hoon practically lacks such willpower. Having lived a life where sitting still was a challenge and effort-requiring tasks were casually handled thanks to his connections and wealth, John Myung-hoon found cultivation to be a category of work that couldn't succeed without his own effort. In the end, John Myung-hoon spent the entire 3 months, equivalent to 24 hours a day or 12 hours by this world's standards, sitting motionlessly, becoming accustomed to the detailed process of creating a dantian. John Myung-hoon's master, Grand Elder Jin Jinshan, wanted to complain to Jin Byuk-ho about this fact but clenched his teeth instead. The disciples' mistakes are all due to the master's lack of virtue. It's also my fault for not recognizing that my disciples' willpower and concentration are below expectations. Making excuses will only make me look worse. However, after spending 3 months teaching my disciple, I've come to understand his temperament even better. Please give us more time, and I will ensure to teach John Myung-hoon more effectively. Ahem. Jin Byuk-ho shows a slight displeasure, but gradually calms his anger. Seo Eun-hyun, with a lightning sacred body, has already received the position of an elder, and it won't be long before he truly condenses his nascent soul and becomes an official elder of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. It's unacceptable for the bearer of the heavenly Golden Thunder body, akin to the second coming of our ancestor, to still be struggling in the Qi gathering stage. Jin Byuk-ho stands up from the throne in the Golden Thunder Hall and says, Grand Elder Jin Jinshan, listen. As the Grand Elder, I command you to use any means necessary to improve John Myung-hoon's cultivation. It is said that the true power of the heavenly Golden Thunder body is revealed only after facing the heavenly tribulation and growing through it. So we must quickly elevate John Myung-hoon to the nascent soul stage. I shall obey the Supreme Sect Master's noble command. Jin Jinshan leaves the Golden Thunder Hall with John Myung-hoon. After leaving the hall with Jin Jinshan, John Myung-hoon is grinding his teeth internally. What the hell is going on? He thinks of Seo Eun-hyun. How could that idiot, who was so pitiful at the company, already become an elder in the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect? That idiot who couldn't even use Excel properly when he joined the company has already mastered those difficult techniques and reached the nascent soul stage? John Myung-hoon thinks bitterly. That's impossible. Does Seo Eun-hyun have the intelligence for that? No, he doesn't. Then how did he reach the nascent soul stage so quickly? After pondering for a moment, John Myung-hoon realizes the answer. Right? He must have consumed a lot of spiritual elixirs. And his dual cultivation partner must be one of the nascent soul stage elders. So he skyrocketed in cultivation in a short time with the power of dual cultivation. Convinced he has uncovered Seo Eun-hyun's secret, John Myung-hoon smirks inwardly. Yes, he must have gotten smart enough to become close with the sect's higher-ups and received plenty of good spiritual elixirs and a powerful dual cultivation partner, leading him to that level. Regardless of the truth, John Myung-hoon firmly believes so. Just wait a bit longer, Seo Eun-hyun. I, too, will quickly be assigned a good dual cultivation partner and surpass you. He confidently envisions a hopeful future as he arrives at his cave residence with Jin Jinshan. Perhaps due to being lost in his own delusions, John Myung-hoon failed to notice the expression on his master, Jin Jinshan's face. Myung-hoon, let's begin your training. Haha, yes. At least I've got the hang of cultivating the law transformation dantian and the basics of cultivation methods. The Qi refining stage is going to be in a similar manner, right? John Myung-hoon says with a confident expression. Even though this disciple is momentarily behind Seo Eun-hyun, I will continue to grow rapidly and become the pride of our sect. Yes. It's good to have ambition, so let's start the training. This master has considered a training method that suits your temperament perfectly. The middle-aged Jin Jinshan strokes his beard and reaches out into the air. Then, the ground of John Myung-hoon's quarters writhes, and the earth transforms into a stone seat. My disciple, take a seat. Your training will proceed while you're seated here. Oh, I don't need to sit in a lotus position? John Myung-hoon, who had found sitting in the lotus position for extended periods uncomfortable, happily takes his place on the stone seat. At that moment, Click, 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 click. Stones from the armrests and near the legs protrude, binding John Myung-hoon's limbs in restraints. Master. Click. Finally, a circular restraint resembling a torture device springs from the back of the seat, securing John Myung-hoon's head. John Myung-hoon is now bound to the stone seat. As Jin Jinchan flicks his fingers again, runes detailing the lightning path method are engraved into various parts of the stone seat. Zap, crackle, crackle. Simultaneously, lightning gathers around the runes and blue lightning rides around the seat where John Myung-hoon is sitting. Fortunately, Jin Jinchan must have cast some protective spell, as the lightning does not reach John Myung-hoon's body. Master, what is this electricity for? The heavenly golden thunder body is a physique that receives the love of all lightning in the universe. When its qualities are fully manifested, it can even consume and withstand heavenly tribulation. John Myung-hoon, bound by his limbs and head, swallows hard. Damn it, this looks just like the chair used for electric executions. Even a fool would sense ominous vibes from the current situation. He swallows and responds to Jin Jinchan's statement. Yes, I understand, but... From now on, a bitter smile mixed with frustration appears on Jin Jinchan's face. You will familiarize your body with the hand seals and mantras of the 72 earthly true words. If you lack in learning, this master will personally infuse you with the power of lightning, using both the method of understanding before breakthrough and understanding after breakthrough. John Myung-hoon forces a smile upon seeing Jin Jinchan's expression. Can't we just go back to practicing in the lotus position like before? Soon after, screams echo from within John Myung-hoon's quarters. Crackle zap? Arg. Hee, then I'll be counting on you in the future, Elder Seo. I'm the one who should be saying that. Please take care, Elder Gal. After receiving congratulations from the elders and senior members of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect in my cave residence, I bid them farewell and sit in the lotus position. Crackle. The extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple and the 1,000 lustrous forest sea are complementing each other, drastically boosting my cultivation speed. I've managed to achieve considerable mastery in both the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple and the 7 lightning quaking scripture. The Taiji quaking lightning body is also being mastered through Yuan Yu's control, significantly improving my understanding. I have mastered all the methods called the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect's 3 great methods. The deeper I dive into the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect's methods, the more wondrous they seem. I contemplate the interconnectedness of the 3 methods. Hong Su-ryong said that no one has ever achieved such rapid mastery of all 3 methods before. Hong Su-ryong and I were designated as dual cultivation partners, but instead of engaging in physical dual cultivation, our relationship evolved mainly into exchanging insights. I shared my enlightenment on the way and essence of the sword, and she mainly imparted her insights on the integration of sword techniques and cultivation methods to me. Thanks to that, I've recently gained a considerable understanding of sword cultivators' techniques, and that includes sword formations. I learned about sword formations that involve the use of multiple swords. Thus, our dual cultivation relationship focused more on a spiritual connection rather than a physical one. While reviewing my lightning path method, Hong Su-ryong, as a grand elder of the heavenly being stage within the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, also offered her advice. I recall our conversation. No one has ever mastered all 3 great methods of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect like you have before. Even our ancestors who were born with the lightning sacred body initially attempted the same path as you, but soon abandoned it for some reason. Do you know what that reason was? I'm not sure, but as someone who has long practiced the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect's methods, I suspect that perhaps all the lightning path methods of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect are incomplete to some extent. What do you mean by that? Precisely, when practiced together, the incomplete methods complement each other. Doesn't that mean it's actually correct to practice the 3 great methods together? I've experimented with this approach myself. However, all attempts failed. It seemed promising up to a certain point, and I appeared to dominate in the same stage. But ultimately, one method would subsume the others. You mean one method becomes subordinate to another? Yes. For example, if a cultivator practices both the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple and the 7 lightning quaking scripture, and the mastery of the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple slightly surpasses that of the 7 lightning quaking scripture, at some point, the 7 lightning quaking scripture becomes subordinate to the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple. Hong Su-ryong continued her explanation, drawing with lightning in the air. Subordination itself isn't the issue, but by becoming subordinate, the cultivation of the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple ends up engulfing that of the 7 lightning quaking scripture. While the cultivation of the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple might increase, It's no different from the situation where the cultivation of the 7 lightning quaking scripture is suddenly pulled out. Exactly. Our bodies adapt little by little to the methods we practice. But what if, after the body has perfectly adapted to both the 7 lightning quaking scripture and the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple, one of the methods suddenly disappears? Wouldn't that completely disrupt the body's balance, shortening lifespan or suddenly weakening it? Yes, perhaps our ancestors, who were born with the lightning sacred body, also couldn't overcome this imperfection of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect's lightning path methods. Confused, I asked her, then why doesn't the golden divine heavenly thunder sect try to improve these flaws in the method? And why didn't you try to stop me when I said I would master all the major methods? Because the lightning sacred body naturally achieves harmony among the methods within the body. Even if the flaws of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect's lightning path methods manifest, it would probably be almost 1,000 years later. Besides, according to the records from the era when the founder was alive, those flaws did not exist. Maybe, with the power of the heavenly golden thunder body, there was a way to somehow compensate for the imperfections of the lightning path method. The power of the heavenly golden thunder body. Thinking back on our conversation, I remembered John Myung-hoon. I wonder how long it will take for that guy to grow to the level of Yang Soo-jin. But based on my estimates, it will take him at least 10,000 years to reach such a level. It took him 3 months just to reach the Qi gathering stage. Even Kim Yun managed to reach the 4th star of Qi refining within 3 months. There's no need to rely on such a person and leave the weaknesses of the lightning path methods unaddressed. I am aware of the disharmony between the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple and the 7 lightning quaking scripture within me. For now, the curse is playing a part in aligning the disharmony between the 2 methods. But as time passes, if the achievement of one method lags behind, it will be consumed by the other, leading to an imbalance within me. I can't wait for John Myung-hoon. I decide to balance it out with my own efforts. And so, how should I balance between the methods? There are countless lightning path methods scattered throughout the golden, divine, heavenly thunder sect. Hence, I determined myself to master all the lightning path methods that exist within the golden, divine, heavenly thunder sect. By mastering all the lightning path methods within the golden, divine, heavenly thunder sect, I'll prevent the disharmony from intensifying and one method from being subjugated by another. If there's a method trying to subjugate others, I'll just enhance the influence of other methods to suppress it. Others might call it madness, but I am determined. It took me 500 years to barely reach the mid-stage of nascent soul in my 16th cycle. Hong Su-ryong said talent doesn't exist, but I know in reality that talent exists, and mine is exceptionally lacking. I don't have the luxury of wasting time to recover to the mid-stage of the nascent soul in this life. So what's the answer? To push through forcefully, somehow breaking through to the mid-stage of nascent soul. And the way to do it, while overcoming the disharmony in the lightning path methods, is to encapsulate all the lightning path methods that exist within the golden, divine, heavenly thunder sect. Crackle zap. I request Gene Y to bring me the method manuals from the golden, divine, heavenly thunder sect scripture pavilion, and I begin to practice them one by one. First, I'll start with the 8 thundering heavenly palms. Seo Eun-hyun and John Myung-hoon each began their diligent cultivation, and after about a year and a half, finally, Jin Jinshan and John Myung-hoon embrace each other in joy within the same cave residence. Disciple John Myung-hoon, I've finally completed the 6th star of Qi refining, the 8 trigrams. Excellent, excellent, my disciple. With this speed, you're now comparable to ordinary disciples with heavenly spiritual roots. In a year and a half, under the hellish training of Jin Jinshan, John Myung-hoon's concentration and willpower were forcibly improved. Thanks to this, John Myung-hoon's cultivation speed, although still not matching the legendary heavenly golden thunder body, has caught up to that of ordinary cultivators with heavenly spiritual roots. Now all that's left is the 7 stars ritual. Once you pass through the gate of the 7 stars ritual, you will be assigned a proper dual cultivation partner and can advance your lightning path method achievements even faster. Yes, master. John Myung-hoon smiles with anticipation. Finally, can I now practice the lightning path method with a dual cultivation partner? For a year and a half, John Myung-hoon felt like he was going insane. Ashamed of having enraged Jin Byuk-ho, his master Jin Jinshan had not allowed John Myung-hoon to step outside his quarters. For a year and a half, John Myung-hoon was confined within his residence, enduring electrocution and forcibly having his cultivation improved. But that damn cultivation is finally coming to an end. After the 7 stars ritual, he will be assigned a dual cultivation partner. Having a dual cultivation partner means he can visit their cave residence for dual cultivation practice. So Jin Jinshan promised to let John Myung-hoon out after he is assigned a dual cultivation partner. I can finally leave this damned cave. John Myung-hoon is overjoyed by that more than anything else. Well then, we'll conduct the 7 stars ritual in a few days. Yes, master. It was just a lack of willpower. As your willpower and concentration increase, so does your cultivation speed day by day, proving that the fame of the heavenly golden thunder body is no mere exaggeration. Under Jin Jinshan's trusting gaze, John Myung-hoon resolves to devote himself even more to his cultivation. A few days later, with the preparations for John Myung-hoon's 7 stars ritual completed, he stepped outside his quarters for the first time in a long while. It feels refreshing. A year and a half has passed in the blink of an eye. For cultivators, a year and a half might seem like a fleeting moment, but for John Myung-hoon, it feels longer than his time as a public service worker. The more I practice cultivation methods, the stronger I feel as the spiritual energy inside me amplifies. There's also a sense of transcending humanity as my consciousness expands. John Myung-hoon gradually came to find joy in his cultivation. Though it was a hellish ordeal, he became stronger, and he gained that much more power. If I continue to cultivate like this, will I also have the enormous lifespan and powers of the nascent soul stage elders and the heavenly being stage elders? John Myung-hoon smiles, thinking about the life that lies ahead of him. I heard that after reaching the nascent soul stage, Seo Eun-hyun's cultivation speed hasn't been as fast as before. He decides to catch up to Seo Eun-hyun quickly while he is still stagnant. After the 7 stars ritual, it'll be dual cultivation training. I'm confident I can be even more diligent than any other cultivator. He might have lacked a bit in concentration and willpower before, but John Myung-hoon is sure he can burn with passion for dual cultivation. I can finally utilize the skills I honed on Earth. Alright, from now on, I'll quickly grow stronger with the power of dual cultivation and surpass Seo Eun-hyun. As John Myung-hoon is thinking this, kagugugu. Suddenly, something large and elongated passes by John Myung-hoon's side. Hic! Overwhelmed by the formidable presence of that something, John Myung-hoon involuntarily hiccups. Is that an emoji? For a moment, that thought crosses John Myung-hoon's mind. The long, black thing that passes in front of John Myung-hoon is obscured by backlight, resembling a long, black serpent. No, a snake? Indeed, it looks like a black snake. But as John Myung-hoon focuses more closely, he can see the true nature of this black snake. It's not a snake, that's. Eek, what is that? John Myung-hoon screams as he recognizes the true nature of that grotesque creature. It's a giant centipede, each segment as big as a house. The giant centipede flies through the sky, passing in front of John Myung-hoon's cave residence. At John Myung-hoon's scream, the centipede suddenly bends its antennae and turns its gaze toward him. What? I thought demons couldn't enter the sect. Just as John Myung-hoon feels his mind go blank in front of this massive predator. Who might you be, sir? Huh. Words of consciousness emanate from the centipede's mouth. It spoke in a rather polite tone. You can speak. I am, called Hong Fan, beloved demon beast, of one of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect's elders. Ah, I see. John Myung-hoon finally understands, realizing it's the pet of an elder. So it isn't a common demon after all. Sorry, I was startled for a moment, thinking you were a demon invading the sect. But if you become a nascent soul elder, can you? John Myung-hoon assesses the cultivation of the centipede demon beast, Hong Fan. Control demon beasts at the Chi building stage? Well, it varies depending on the elder's abilities. I see. Looking at Hong Fan floating in front of him, John Myung-hoon makes up his mind. I must become as powerful as Hong Fan's master, capable of raising such a demon beast. He unknowingly harbors respect for Hong Fan's master, vowing to become such a strong cultivator himself. And that evening, John Myung-hoon's 7 stars ritual began. Chapter 231, Black Flash, 9. John Myung-hoon stretches his hand towards the sky. The stage of opening a basic spiritual connection by linking the energy of the heavens with his own energy, called observing the celestial energy. This is the 7 stars ritual. He proudly performs the ritual, asking the celestial and terrestrial spirits for guidance, thinking, once I get through this stage, only the long-awaited dual cultivation stage remains. Just as John Myung-hoon and Jin Jinshan are about to start the ritual. Wawoon. A look of confusion appears in John Myung-hoon's eyes. Master, I can't read the celestial phenomenon because of the dark clouds. Jin Jinshan's expression hardens as he observes the dark clouds. Let's wait a bit longer. It might be a temporary phenomenon, he says, clenching his lips tightly. The wind will blow them away soon. At those words, John Myung-hoon waits in his place. Unbeknownst to John Myung-hoon, elders and seniors throughout the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect are watching closely as they conduct the 7 stars ritual. Seo Eun-hyun is also among them. Seo Eun-hyun sits atop a peak above his residence, looking at the dark clouds with a smile. Indeed, how will you overcome the heavenly rejection? Initially, John Myung-hoon and Jin Jin-chan seem to wait, but as the dark clouds show no sign of dissipating, both grow anxious. Master, the sun will rise in a few hours. I know. Just wait. Surely those clouds won't stay till sunrise. However, the unlikely became reality. The dark clouds never moved away. John Myung-hoon and Jin Jin-chan helplessly watched the dark clouds and greeted the morning. 2 months passed. Ha ha ha, unbelievable. Rummaging through the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect's library, Jin Jin-chan murmurs with a trembling voice. Heavenly rejection? Even the sect founder experienced the same phenomenon. For 2 months, regardless of the method attempted, John Myung-hoon's 7 stars ritual was repeatedly obstructed by dark clouds. Naturally, Jin Byuk-ho was furious, and Jin Jin-chan along with the senior members scoured the scripture pavilion for cases similar to John Myung-hoon's. Finally, they came across the phenomenon known as heavenly rejection. Jin Jin-chan researched this and reported to Jin Byuk-ho. Heavenly rejection? In the Golden Thunder Hall, most of the senior members of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect gathered for a meeting. Jin Byuk-ho taps the armrest of his throne uneasily. So, the sect founder also experienced the same phenomenon? Yes, that's correct. Is there no record of how the founder overcame it? Regrettably, it only states that he overcame it with his tremendous talent. What exactly was that tremendous talent? My apologies. Jin Jin-chan bows his head. Jin Byuk-ho sighs. Can't a magic artifact solve this? Rubbing his throbbing head, he asks. According to his analysis, the phenomenon John Myung-hoon is facing is a form of heavenly tribulation. It isn't a lightning tribulation, but a kind of heavenly tribulation deliberately obstructing the ritual. If it's that kind of heavenly tribulation, using a magic artifact to break through it won't be an issue. If it's a superior grade magic artifact, it can certainly break through the dark clouds. Then if we give him a superior grade magic artifact. However, activating a superior grade magic artifact requires at least the spiritual power of the late Qi refining stage. To handle a superior grade magic artifact, one needs to be at the late Qi refining stage. But to reach the late Qi refining stage, one has to complete the 7 stars ritual. It's a paradox. Unless someone of the Mad Lord's caliber, there's no one who can create a superior grade magic artifact that a low-stage Qi refining cultivator can use. We've inquired all over the bright cold realm to no avail. Indeed. Of course, we absolutely should not seek out that mad old man to borrow his puppet. Sigh, what are we supposed to do now? Jin Byuk-ho presses the veins bulging on his forehead, suppressing his irritation. Suddenly, his gaze shifts to the vice sect leader, Jin Y. Vice sect leader Jin Y, when you were teaching Seo Eun-hyun, did you ever encounter such heavenly rejection? Probably not. I've never heard of heavenly rejection occurring to someone with the lightning sacred body. Actually, Seo Eun-hyun also experienced a similar phenomenon. What? Jin Byuk-ho's eyes widen at Jin Y's words. Why haven't you mentioned this until now? My apologies. Seo Eun-hyun, or rather Elder Seo, simply tore through the dark clouds and conducted the 7 stars ritual so effortlessly. We weren't even sure if it was the heavenly rejection phenomenon. Well, that's fine. Anyway, how did Seo Eun-hyun so easily overcome the heavenly rejection phenomenon? Responding to Jin Byuk-ho's question, Jin Y speaks with an awkward expression. When Elder Seo raised his hand, a thick bolt of lightning burst forth, instantly tearing through the dark clouds. He then simply proceeded with the 7 stars ritual. That was the end of it. At Jin Y's statement, Jin Byuk-ho lets out a hollow laugh. It's hardly helpful. Yet, at the same time, it's nice to have such an exceptional disciple in the sect. However, he also can't understand why a disciple possessing the heavenly golden thunder body, like John Myung-hoon, is struggling so much with a ritual that a disciple with the lightning sacred body passed through so easily. No, come to think of it, it's always been like this. Jin Byuk-ho massages his throbbing temples, internally comparing Seo Eun-hyun and John Myung-hoon. Thinking about it, Seo Eun-hyun ascended on his own merit and possessed a consciousness domain of a late-stage nascent soul cultivator. Upon receiving the accumulating lightning technique, he rose to the 6th star overnight, and it took him less than 10 days to reach the pinnacle of Qi refining, including the time for the 7 stars ritual. And now, just a year and a half after entering the sect, he has reached the early peak of nascent soul and is tirelessly working to rise to the mid-nascent soul stage. In contrast, John Myung-hoon had to start with basic etiquette training instead of learning cultivation methods upon his initial entry due to his lack of manners. When he finally began training in cultivation methods, he was also far behind Seo Eun-hyun. Moreover, according to Jin Y, both Seo Eun-hyun and John Myung-hoon experienced heavenly rejection, but Seo Eun-hyun seemed to have solved it in one go. Then, why can't John Myung-hoon, with even greater talent, resolve the heavenly rejection. Physically, John Myung-hoon might be superior, but it seems Seo Eun-hyun is a genius who vastly outshines him in terms of intelligence and mental capacity. Jin Byuk-ho was overjoyed when both the lightning sacred body and the heavenly golden thunder body entered the sect. But as John Myung-hoon continued to cause trouble, he also had this thought. If only Seo Eun-hyun had been born with those qualities. It's a regrettable thought. Then, it would have truly been the reincarnation of our founder. Such a pity. Jin Byuk-ho clicks his tongue internally. First, call Elder Seo to the Golden Thunder Hall. Let's hear from Elder Seo himself how he overcame the heavenly rejection phenomenon. He decides to summon Seo Eun-hyun to find out how he overcame the heavenly rejection. It just worked when I tried. I speak with a calm expression in front of Jin Byuk-ho. So, can you explain exactly how it just worked? Jin Byuk-ho asks me, his expression showing he is at his wit's end. However, I can't honestly answer him. Saying that I faced heavenly tribulation in advance and stored it to release later would sound too suspicious, wouldn't it? I can't just tell someone to take someone else's heavenly tribulation for them. If John Myung-hoon takes someone else's heavenly tribulation once, the tribulation will only get stronger. Unless John Myung-hoon plans to stay by that person's side for their entire life, taking their tribulation for them, such a method will only hasten their demise. So what should I say? I could offer to tear off John Myung-hoon's arm, and then modify it for him, if I were the Mad Lord. If I attach General Seo's face to John Myung-hoon's arm to launch the Seo General Cannon, the heavenly rejection phenomenon will be resolved immediately. But the problem is, doing so will immediately make Jin Byuk-ho, who has had many grievances against the Mad Lord, distrust me. Using a puppet through the Mad Lord's method won't work, and it would be too much for him to learn more potent spells or even attempt to learn techniques from the Azure Heaven Creation sect or Demon Beast methods. Without perseverance, it will take decades. Martial arts are even less likely. Reaching the peak or 3 flowers gather at the summit isn't something achieved through child's play. The 5 energies converging to the origin and ultimate pinnacle are even more so. I guarantee it will take 400 years to get John Myung-hoon to reach the ultimate pinnacle. Being someone who had reached the position of a grandmaster in martial arts, I can confidently say that. He has no talent for martial arts. Then, how can I provide an answer that will satisfy Jin Byuk-ho? What would my master have done? I think of my master. If Chongmun Ryong were in this situation, how would he have helped his disciple? As I ponder, it strikes me that we are in the middle realm. Right, there's much more heaven and earth spiritual energy in the bright cold realm. Perhaps that approach might work. The method I used might not be helpful to John Myung-hoon. It's my place to judge that. Just tell me. However, I think there might be a method that can help John Myung-hoon. I share my idea with Jin Byuk-ho. Upon hearing my explanation, not only Jin Byuk-ho, but also the gathered senior members' eyes light up with hope. Indeed, if it's that method, crackle zap, John Myung-hoon gathers a surge of lightning energy with the accumulating lightning technique. Damn it, he exclaims in frustration. Why? Why can't I complete the 7 stars ritual? As he shouts in anger, the lightning energy pulsating around him boils over, growing even stronger. Shut up. It's when he is screaming out loud. Shouting won't change anything. Just calmly think it over. A clear voice approaches John Myung-hoon. The woman adorned in a golden palace robe is Jin So-hae. The seniors are working tirelessly day and night to find a way to overcome the heavenly rejection. You shouldn't just sit around. Try to find a solution too. John Myung-hoon twitches his eyebrows. I'm trying to find a way. But what exactly should I do? Magic artifacts don't work, and if my master clears the clouds, the ritual ends. No matter what, I just can't seem to have the ability to clear the clouds no matter what I do. Tisk, it's about your attitude. Honestly, you claim you're trying to find a solution when you always sleep when it's time to sleep and rest when it's time for rest. It's true. John Myung-hoon slept at night and designated rest times, always taking a few hours to rest comfortably. However, John Myung-hoon doesn't understand Jin So-hae's point. Of course people sleep when it's time to sleep. What are you talking about? If you've chosen the path of a cultivator, it's better to minimize sleep time. Among the elders, there are those who haven't slept for decades, focusing solely on closed-door cultivation. Sigh. John Myung-hoon was about to say, those elders are not human but monsters to be able to do that, but he holds back. If she wasn't pretty, I would have told her off a long time ago. Honestly, Jin So-hae's face is precisely John Myung-hoon's type, so he can't help it. So, what do you want me to do? That's exactly why I came to talk to you. There's a friend who wants to help you. A friend who wants to help me? At that moment, a long, black shadow surges up above John Myung-hoon. Eek! John Myung-hoon shivers at its appearance. No matter how many times he sees it, he can't get used to it. It's the giant centipede demon beast, Hong Fan. One of the elders' demon beasts. Recently, we've become close. Hello? We have met before, haven't we? Ah, hello. Sorry for screaming just now. John Myung-hoon awkwardly greets the centipede. No problem. It's understandable. I apologize for startling you. If I reach the nascent soul stage and achieve a transformation sooner, it wouldn't have been an issue. Polite words from Hong Fan makes John Myung-hoon shake his head. No, I'm the one who should apologize. But you're not stuttering anymore. I've learned a lot about language from Jin So-hee. Recently, I've been learning to speak human language with my vocal cords instead of mental speech. Wow, impressive. Truly the demon beast of a nascent soul stage elder. Hee, my master also helps me with my practice whenever there's a chance and kindly explains things I don't understand. Truly a great elder. John Myung-hoon nods and asks, so, you're the one who wants to help me? Yes, that's right. My master sometimes explains the principles of yin and yang when discussing the lightning path methods. Hearing those explanations made me think of Sir John Myung-hoon's recent troubles, prompting me to ask Miss Jin So-hee for help in offering my assistance. Wow, how exactly will you help? I plan to assist you in understanding the accumulating lightning technique you're currently learning. What? You know the accumulating lightning technique? John Myung-hoon asks, not understanding the centipede's words. However, Hong Fan calmly explains. My master is an enlightened sage of understanding before breakthrough. After hearing the explanation of the accumulating lightning technique from master, I thought if Sir John Myung-hoon could fully unleash the power of the accumulating lightning technique, he might also overcome the heavenly rejection. I know about understanding before breakthrough well enough, but does it really have that much power? Of course. Why not listen first and then decide? As John Myung-hoon listens to Hong Fan's lecture on understanding before breakthrough, John Myung-hoon's eyes light up. Indeed. Incredible. Things I didn't understand are now clear. You explain incredibly well. I've merely learned well from my master. Even so, your specialty isn't the accumulating lightning technique, but the demon beast methods. Such an explanation is impressive. John Myung-hoon praises Hong Fan, and at the same time, deep respect for Hong Fan's master, the nascent soul stage elder, burgeons within him. So, the master of understanding before breakthrough in the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect nurtures even their demon beast to be well-versed in the fundamentals of cultivation methods. If Sir John Myung-hoon wishes, I can arrange for you to directly learn the principles of understanding before breakthrough from my master. However, John Myung-hoon hesitates and glances covertly at Jin So-hee. Jin So-hee speaks in front of Hong Fan. Sorry, Hong Fan, but it's not recommended in our sect to learn something from a master other than your own. It's allowed to learn from someone close like dual cultivation partners, but if it's a completely different master, it can be seen as disloyalty to your own master. Especially since your master is an elder and John Myung-hoon's master is Jin Shan. It's an even more sensitive issue because he's a grand elder. I see. I've spoken out of turn. However, would it still be acceptable if I, a demon beast, convey my master's words to help Sir John Myung-hoon? That might be okay. There's no regulation against demon beasts. At those words, Hong Fan looks at John Myung-hoon and says, understood. Then, I'll convey my master's teachings to Sir John Myung-hoon on my master's behalf. John Myung-hoon asks Hong Fan, but why? Why are you being so nice to me? Well, my master always worries about Sir John Myung-hoon. Master says that for the sect to be stable, Sir John Myung-hoon must grow as the owner of the heavenly golden thunder body. As my master's servant, helping you is my way of serving my master. John Myung-hoon looks at Hong Fan with moved eyes. He is touched by Hong Fan, and he comes to deeply respect Hong Fan's master, the nascent soul stage elder. Only those who care so much for their juniors deserve to hold the position of an elder in the sect. Tell me the name of that elder. No, wait. Never mind. I'll personally seek them out and pay my respects after I've reached a higher realm. There's no need to tell me before then. Yes, if you wish so. Then, does this mean you will listen to my lectures on understanding before breakthrough? Yes, I'm counting on you, Hong Fan. John Myung-hoon kneels before Hong Fan, asking for guidance. There is no shame in kneeling before a demon beast. Hong Fan's cultivation is at the chi building stage, definitely a demon beast that has walked the path of cultivation longer than him. Its master, a nascent soul stage elder, is undoubtedly a respected figure. I will definitely learn the theory of understanding before breakthrough from Hong Fan and awaken the true power of the accumulating lightning technique. And then, he will definitely complete the 7 stars ritual, making it clear to his master and the senior members of the sect who look down on him that he is the victor. And so 10 years pass. Heavens above. John Myung-hoon grits his teeth as he looks at the dark clouds. Crack, crackle. The lightning power of the accumulating lightning technique is surging around him. Thick lightning flickers around John Myung-hoon, tinted red. The reddening of the lightning is a characteristic that appears only when the accumulating lightning technique is fully mastered. Over the past 10 years, John Myung-hoon had practiced the accumulating lightning technique through the method of understanding before breakthrough to the point where he can dismantle and analyze the beginning and end of the technique. However, why can't I still surpass the Qi refining 7th star? Heavens above, heavens above, heavens above. John Myung-hoon's eyes are bloodshot as he grinds his teeth. Kururung. At the Qi refining 6th star, he awakened the essence of the accumulating lightning technique with Hong Fan's help. Red lightning soars towards the sky, reaching the clouds. But that is all. With the power level of Qi refining 6th star, even awakening the essence of the accumulating lightning technique is insufficient. The red lightning merely grazes the edge of the dark clouds before dissipating. Though it is a powerful force at the Qi refining 6th star, it is still difficult to penetrate the clouds that block the heavens. Why can't I still not even pierce through the 7 stars? Beside John Myung-hoon, Jin So-hae, Hong Fan, and a few others from the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect who have grown close to John Myung-hoon look at him with pity. John Myung-hoon's struggle to overcome the heavenly rejection for 10 years is well known within the sect. And over those 10 years, at some point, Jin Jinchan stopped appearing whether John Myung-hoon performed the 7 stars ritual or not. The senior members seem to no longer care about John Myung-hoon. Only a few friends continue to support John Myung-hoon by his side. John Myung-hoon felt betrayed by everyone except for a few friends like Jin So-hae and Hong Fan. When they thought I was useful, they treated me well, but now that I seem useless, they discard me like a worn-out rag. Rumor has it that recently, many senior members gathered at Seo Eun-hyun's cave residence to do something with him. Feelings of inferiority towards Seo Eun-hyun, betrayal by the sect, anger, and frustration intertwined, forming a knot in John Myung-hoon's heart. The stronger the anger, the more the accumulating lightning technique responds. But lately, John Myung-hoon feels as if the accumulating lightning technique is changing somehow. This technique reacts to emotions. Perhaps, if there's even greater anger. He has a slight feeling that the technique itself can evolve. Yes, that must be it. John Myung-hoon waits for that moment. If I succeed in evolving the technique, I can break through the 7 stars ritual. He believes that if he can break through the 7 stars ritual, the path ahead will be smooth. I'll quickly elevate my realm and get revenge on everyone who ignored me. Crack. He clenches his teeth, looking up at the sky. It's been 10 years already. Hong Soo-ryong enters my cave residence and speaks while drinking tea. I thought the same thing 10 years ago, but you seem a bit of a madman. I snort at Hong Soo-ryong's words. Not something I want to hear from Senior Hong, who captures new recruits for human experiments. I didn't mean it in a bad way. Just that your abilities are abnormally outstanding beyond standard measures. She crosses her arms, watching the swirling storm of countless lightning around me. When you said you would master all 9,562 lightning path methods of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect within 10 years, I thought you were insane. But to actually do it within 10 years, mastering even the least accomplished ones to over 3 stars, you're truly remarkable. Thank you for the compliment. And to take the initiative and carry out plans for John Myung-hoon. Do you know what the Supreme Sect Master says about you? What does he say? He asks why I was made your dual cultivation partner. He said he should have forced his own granddaughter to be your partner, even if by coercion. He's shedding tears of regret now. Kukik, she chuckles. I also laugh softly. Even if he said that, it seems Jin So-hae has already become deeply attached to John Myung-hoon after spending 10 years with him in this way and that. Honestly, I don't know why Jin So-hae likes John Myung-hoon, but she does like him. Really, it's a mystery. Maybe it's fate for her to fall in love with John Myung-hoon. Is that why you came to see me? Of course not. I came because you succeeded in mastering all 9,562 lightning path methods of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. It's been a rumor among the Grand Elders, but all the past Supreme Sect Masters of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect have shared this secret. I have a hunch about what she is about to say. All the methods of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect are incomplete. The sect's methods complement each other. They were all created to emulate the heavenly golden thunder body of the founder. Because of these facts, there have always been rumors among the Grand Elders. She looks at me and says, perhaps the sect's methods are not incomplete, but originally a complete method that was divided into over 9,000 pieces. There's a rumor that mastering the complete method will grant one the same heavenly golden thunder body as the founder. Hong Soo-ryong's gaze becomes serious. The past Supreme Sect Masters seem to know something about these rumors, but never shared the facts. Now that you've mastered all the methods, do you think the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect's methods were originally one that was split apart? That is, John Myung-hoon is also practicing his technique this day. Then suddenly, boom, a dull thunderclap flashes above him as someone appears. Ah, Master. John Myung-hoon sees Jin Jinshan and pays his respects. What brings you here? What brings me here? I've come to see your progress. As a master, it's only natural to observe the achievements of my disciple. I've heard that you've awakened the essence of the accumulating lightning technique. Show it to me. Yes, understood. He speaks as if he's always been concerned. Annoying. Despite being internally irritated with Jin Jinshan, John Myung-hoon respectfully demonstrates the accumulating lightning technique. Crackle. Red lightning surges around him. Jin Jinshan nods at John Myung-hoon's achievement. Good. You've indeed reached the pinnacle of the basic method, the accumulating lightning technique. Yes, that's correct. As a disciple who has worked day and night. By the way, Myung-hoon, even though you've reached the pinnacle of the accumulating lightning technique at the Qi Refining 6 Star, after a council among the Grand Elders, we've reached a conclusion about you. Yes? What is it? John Myung-hoon feels a sense of foreboding from Jin Jinshan's grim expression. We've concluded that having the heavenly golden thunder body is utterly useless to you. Therefore, we've decided to grind your body into a pill and transfer the heavenly golden thunder body's spiritual root to someone else. John Myung-hoon's brain freezes, unable to comprehend the statement. Excuse me? What do you mean? There's no need to understand. Kururum. Jin Jinshan extends his hand towards John Myung-hoon with a cold smile. Come here. I've already requested for a skilled alchemist from the Devil Path Alliance's pill refining clan, the Mockley clan.